All right, everybody. I am so excited to have this guest back with us. You could hardly ask for a better person to recap any week of Survivor winner. Please welcome back my great friend Adam Klein is here. Adam, how are you?
I got really lucky with this week to talk Survivor. What an episode! So yeah, I'm stoked. I feel like it probably hasn't actually been that long since I've been on the podcast, but
I happen to know this off the top of my head. So you and I spoke back, I think it was like the beginning of December, or we did a thing for the patrons talking about helping people with their casting videos. But you and I, as far as an episode recap goes, so like bookends, Survivor 41 and 42, you were on the second episode of the season 41 recap. Yeah. And now here you are on the second to last week of season 42.
My life has bookends. These hidden symbols all over the place all the time. What does that mean? Maybe there's something there.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So here we are.
Very happy to be back.
We got a great episode of Survivor to talk about. But before we talk Survivor, what's been going on with you, Adam?
I'm doing now is when my big season starts to ramp up for casting stuff. I've got my casting coaching business, and I help people with their audition videos. And now $1 Million Island is a new player on the scene.
Yeah, what is the $1 Million Island?
Well, I think this is a really good opportunity for a lot of people who've been dreaming, not to take people away from Survivor by any means. I think everyone who has always dreamed of Survivor should continue to apply for Survivor. But Survivor can only take 36 at most people a year, or 40, sometimes less if there's a returning player season. And they get a ton of applications because it's such a dream for so many people and such a long-standing show. $1 Million Island is a brand new show where they're going to cast 100 people. So the chances go up from that. And they're going to get far fewer applications, I would have to imagine, because it's not a dream for people to go on $1 Million Island. But it's a 50-day island adventure.
So you get to go basically twice as long as if you were on Survivor.
Right. Now Survivor's only 26 days. So you get like potentially 2 Survivor experiences. And it is definitely social. It is definitely physical. You're definitely living and surviving on an island. And it's probably not as strategic as Survivor, but there's definitely going to be a strategy component as well. So it sort of fits a lot of the things that I think a lot of people dream about when they think of Survivor, except for probably like the TV time. I have to imagine there's 100 people on a show. You're probably unlikely to have a ton of airtime on it as a singular person.
You might get a purple edit, is what you're saying.
Maybe. But if what the dream is to play and live on an island and get to strategize and socialize and survive, then this will satiate that for a lot of people. So I'm excited for people who are going to have a better opportunity than ever to play one of these games.
Adam, will you come on and recap an episode of $1 Million Island with me?
Sure, definitely.
Okay, all right.
I think it'd be fun. I would play $1 Million Island. I mean, it sounds like a really cool concept. I mean, we don't know everything right now, but from what I know about like the international versions, like everyone gets a bracelet.
Is there a monster?
The monster comes and devours everybody. There is no Monty Hall problem as far as I'm aware. And when you get eliminated, you have to give the bracelet to somebody else. So it's like a legacy advantage. There you go.
Okay. All right. There you go. All right. So let's just get your thoughts on season 42 up to this point. Are you as high on the season as many other people are?
Yes. I am. And I feel like I rarely dislike Survivor. I can't think of any time that I've really not liked it. So maybe it sounds like I always say this, but I really do feel like this season is really special. The thing to me that stands out about this season is how good everybody is at playing the game.
Yeah.
I mean, across the board, you look at this cast, and I'm blown away by almost every time it seems like people are doing things that are in their own best interest, or at least you can understand why they might think that way. And I think we're seeing the show is doing a good job of showing us everybody's perspective for the most part. Obviously, with there's going to be stuff that's missing and context that's missing, and some people that don't get as much screen time. But I feel like we generally have a pretty good sense of how everybody's thinking and feeling, and it really feels like they're going for the win. And it reminds me, there's a little nostalgia to it as well, because I think this cast reminds me a little bit of the Millennials versus Gen X cast as well, in the camaraderie that it is being shown, at least on the island. I have no idea if they're all still friends today or not, but
unclear.
It does fit. Well, we have no Ponderosa, so I guess we'll never know. But that's such a shame that there's no Ponderosa, by the way.
Yeah, you hope that it'll come back in season 43, but I don't know.
But it does feel like it's a bunch of really good sports who understand that they're out there playing a game, but are fighting hard to stay. I've been doing a really good job.
That's a great point. And I do feel like that Millennials versus Gen X was like the first season that Jeff really called out, like, wow, see how these people, they play the game hard and then they get along with each other after the fact. And I think that really, Millennials versus Gen X, I think has always been held up as like the example of the season that really best demonstrated that.
Well, I'm glad you think that, because it definitely felt like that at the time. But now I have this sneaking suspicion that Jeff seems like he says that every time.
No,
now.
I can't recall. Maybe David versus Gold. Although I don't know. I feel like there was like some saltiness there. Wait, do you think that he said that with other seasons?
Well, I don't know. All I know is I remember at the finale of season 33, before we go out on stage, the interactions that I have ever had with Jeff outside of the show are basically limited to the finale of season 33 backstage right before we went out on stage. I didn't see him at all after the show. I never saw him in between 33 and 40. We obviously didn't have a finale for 40. I've basically never seen the guy except for at the finale of season 33. And he came backstage and he told us, he said, I think I decided this morning or last night or something like that pound for pound, I remember he said pound for pound, this is my single favorite cast ever.
Wow. And
if I could, I would have each and every single one of you back to play again. That's what he
even Paul.
He said it. I don't know if he meant I don't know if I was like, does he say that all the time?
Yeah.
Like, is how much truth is there to this? But he was really high on it. And then I went back and I played 40 and he was like, you guys are killing it. Like, this is the best Survivor I've ever seen. Like, I remember him sitting at Tribal Council being like, I don't know where we go from this. He's like, how do we keep doing Survivor? Because I feel like you've broken the game. This is it. What do we do next? I have no idea. I remember him saying that.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I see him saying the same thing to this group. I mean, he is very good at making everybody feel like this is I do really believe that he, in the moment, is loving it all the time when he's out there. He absolutely loves his job. But it does feel like maybe I just happen to be on really good seasons. And that's why I heard it both times. But
mm-hmm. Yeah. I do think that we could do a whole podcast on, the casts that changed Survivor. But I do think that, Jeff, especially on the millennial side of things, I think that Jeff
was really into the millennials. He loved Taylor. Oh, my God, did he love Taylor? Taylor would talk at Tribal Council. And Jeff would just be like, I want to be like you.
Wow.
I love the way that you just throw caution to the wind and you just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, us old folks, like, we don't do that.
Yeah.
You can imagine him sitting there, right? Kind of like this, just like, be like, wow. that.
Yeah.
You would get married right now. I believe that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, so many different things to get into, but okay. Let's just talk about pick things up here. We are at the final five after last night. We saw Marianne come in with
My
this.
winner pick, my pregame
This was
winner
your winner
pick.
pick.
My
What did you
pregame winner pick.
see? What did you see?
Okay, so coming into the premiere, I'm trying to ingest as much Survivor content as I possibly can, and my initial gut was Mike. Actually, I saw Mike's stuff first, and I was like, this guy is insanely likable. He has a really good head on his shoulders. It seems like he's going to get along really well and relate to a lot of people. And I really almost picked Mike. And now it looks like Mike and Marianne are the two. So I feel, really good about that. But I'm glad I didn't come on the podcast last week, because I would have been totally wrong about what I thought was going to happen. I have been rooting for Marianne as somebody who and Mike as people who I feel like are like really good players. They also seem really, really nice. They love the game. They're so excited about it. They just feel like they would be really good representations of the show. But Omer had just been playing an absolutely outstanding, if he would have won, easily one of the best to ever play, I would think. And just from behind the scenes, controlling things without getting a target on his back. It was exceptional to watch, and I thought that this was his winning story. It felt like this was Omer's coronation, and we're gonna have a new Survivor King. And he really played exceptionally well. So if I would have come on the podcast last week, I would have been totally wrong. But now I think that I may have been right in the beginning.
Okay, well, but tell me, what did you see from Marianne in the preseason that made you zoom in on Marianne?
So with Marianne, I just thought this is somebody that is going to be underestimated.
Yes.
But is a total gamer who is absolutely here to play. And some of that is going to be disguised by the brilliance of personality. They might think that she was cast because of her personality, and not as much maybe because she's going to be the one that's going to clear people out of the game and take control. And so I thought that the overwhelming exuberance that she has would be able to hide some of that dedication and fight and strategicness that I saw in her. Right. The only holdup, and why I was thinking maybe Mike over her or whatever, I was like, is she actually too likable to make it to the end? Is she going to be seen as somebody that is going to be taken out for being loved by the jury? And while her personality has definitely shined through, there have also been times where it seemed like on the show it was maybe rubbing some people the wrong way as well. And so that doesn't seem like it's actually going to be an issue that she's like too likable or that they think that she's for sure going to win at the end. And so now that we're down to it where she has just pulled off one of maybe the best moves in the history of Survivor, because she, I think, rocketed herself. And this is why you can never, ever give up in this game and just be like, okay, well, I'm just going to try to make it to the end because I don't think I can beat these people or whatever. There is always a way, maybe not always, almost always a way to find a way to bring yourself up to the top of the pecking order and have a shot to win at the end. And in one move, not only did she take out the biggest threat to win the game, but she also totally lifted up her stock, made it her move, and now is going into the finale, I think, as the favorite to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think Mike has a shot as well. If I were out there, I would think Lindsay would as well. I just don't think the show has shown her winning story, but she's played an exceptional game. And so if I were out there, I would think she would definitely have a shot as well. But this hurt her. The last vote, I think, it didn't do much for Mike, and it was all like for Marianne and Romeo, but I think Romeo's in a difficult spot as well. And we'll talk more about Romeo, who I think has gotten a little bit of a raw deal. But yeah, I think going into the finale, she now looks like potentially the favorite to win the whole thing. And I don't think I would have said that a week ago. So now I get to look like I knew it all along, even though I just admitted that maybe I didn't. Shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. Adam, how important do you think it is in, this modern Survivor game to, really just like, wait and wait and wait and wait and maybe just have like your one big strike right at the end, as opposed to, building a resume and then making big moves all along the way?
That's a tough question to answer because I probably would never phrase it in either of those ways.
How would you phrase it?
I never think of it in terms of like you have to make a big move at any point. You have to. The name of the game is make it to the final 3 with people that you win against. That's it. That's Survivor. And so you can go the whole game without making a big move. Let's say you're Sophie on South Pacific. I wouldn't say that Sophie pulled off any grand big moves, but she won because she knew if she made it to the end with the people in her alliance and they just went that way the whole time, she would win. And she was right? So there is a way to play where you don't actually need to pull off any big moves. If you're at the top.
Well, I would argue though that South Pacific game, I would argue that is a game that no longer exists. That I think that, I'm talking about like in, the modern Survivor game where, we're never going to see, an alliance of 7, it starts from the beginning of the game, be able to, pagong the entire other group and then whittle down from. Yeah.
I totally agree with that. But I still am going to push back on the idea that the person with the most big moves at the end is going to win the game. My point in talking about Sophie and South Pacific is that ultimately what matters is that you made smart moves for yourself. And the reason why this particular big move by Marianne is so good for her winning game is because she got out somebody that everyone else was going to let slide to the end. And that is a big knock on their game. And she was the only one that saw what the jury, I mean, I can't speak for the jury, but I'm guessing that the jury's thinking Omar's going to win this if he makes it to the end. Whoever if everyone else is saying, well, we can't vote for him this time because he's going to be safe. And she's the one saying, if we don't take him out now, no one's ever going to. She's probably right. Like maybe, I think there's like when people let Tony just slide through, all of a sudden he's sitting at the final 3 and people are like, who was coming after him? If somebody had been the vocal person to say, Tony has to go, Sarah has to go, it was hopefully going to be me, but I wasn't able to do it. But if somebody, that's what I was looking for as a jury member, was somebody who's going to acknowledge the obvious, which is that Tony's going to run away with this, do something about it. Right. And so the person that can change the narrative of what's going to happen, instead of letting Tony go all the way to the end, if you can take him out, it's not that you win because you made the big move. It's you win because you opened up the playing field and allowed somebody else the opportunity to win. And if no one else was going to do that, then you are the next rightful heir. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing, basically. Like, I think that the person who is making the big moves, like I've been saying this on the podcast for a while, I kind of think that the resume is, came in with Will Wall. And even though it didn't really work out for him, I think that idea really incepted Survivor in the 30s of resume. I got to think about my resume. But now I really feel like that between Tony, as you mentioned in Winners at War, even last season, and then potentially here with Marianne, it really feels like more and more the move is like lay low, keep your powder dry, hold on to your advantages if you have them, and sort of like wait and wait and wait. And then at the last possible moment, strike, take out that person who is the perceived favorite. And all of a sudden you end up like at the very end of the game in the position that you want to be in.
In a general sense, I'm going to disagree with you, because I think this was a unique opportunity where she was basically able to do it on her own. But that is not normally the case. And if you let your allies go home because you're just going to wait to make the big move, let's say on Tony at the very end, but you can't do it. Like, it's rare that you're able to actually make that happen if you haven't been building up an army of people that you trust and are going to vote with you to up until that point.
Well, I would just say that
you're going to struggle to make that happen.
In this scenario, that I say that Tony is the person who did that and did that to Sophie, as opposed to, and maybe there could have been another person who could have maybe done it to Tony. But I think that, Tony sort of like laid low and then ultimately, made his split vote strike on Sophie at the final 9.
Yeah, I mean, that's not that there's a big difference between final 9 and final 6.
Yeah, I guess that was a 39-day season, right? I mean, it feels like it was right at the end of the game. Yeah,
I mean that that wasn't right at the end of the game, and I think you can absolutely.
You might have done it too early. Yeah,
if you're going into season 43 or 44 thinking I'm just going to wait until the very end, make one big move, you may miss your if you're just letting things happen around you. Like I don't think that that's going to be a winning strategy a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that accurately describes Marianne probably either. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't think that that's going to be a winning strategy that often. Do you think that that's the right play?
Well,
just totally sit on your hands.
I'm wondering if maybe in the 26-day game, it seems like that is the format where I think that people are so much of like, okay, well, this person just did something, and so okay, that person has to go. I mean, if you look at the last couple of votes, that it was
okay. Here's what it is. If let's say you're near the bottom, right? Almost all of the time, if you're going to pull a move on the person who's most likely to win, you got to do it with other people, right? And Marianne's going to get the credit for this one next to Romeo, because Marianne went in as the higher threat than Romeo probably into this vote. But if this were Mike, Marianne, and Romeo, and this was all of their moves together, then maybe now, even though you've pulled off this move, you're still not going to beat Mike in the end. Do you know what I mean? It's just so rare that it's your move and your move alone. If you wait until the end and you're near the bottom and you get out the biggest threat, it's the next biggest threat that's going to get credit for it.
Yeah. It's a good point where, Marianne, I think, really did benefit from, Mike and Jonathan being a little bit stubborn and not wanting to join her on, going along with this move where, actually, I mean, that they did what she told them to do, to put the 2 votes onto, to put 2 votes on Romeo in that spot.
Did they know that Marianne was going to go ahead with the plan that she talked about doing? She did say, this is what I want to do, but do you think she said, I'm doing it, sorry? And do you think they agreed, or do you think they said, don't do it, and thought she wasn't going to do it?
Yeah, in the scene in the episode, I watched this again earlier today, and she tells them, okay, you put your 2 votes on Romeo, and then Mike is like, yeah, but just why don't we just put all the votes on Romeo? Come on, let's just do that. She's like, oh, you're not listening. But really, it's like they have sort of had the protection there of, if plan A is that works, okay, we got Omer out. And then if Lindsay plays the amulet on Omer, then they still, we're going to go to the split vote. And then it would have been a 2-2 tie. And then presumably, Marianne would vote with those 2 guys and then potentially vote out Romeo in that scenario.
This is something that I wanted to. So let's finish that before I ask this next question. So you think that they knew that she was going to do this, that she just said, no, this is what I'm doing. And they were like, okay, there's nothing they could do about it.
We didn't see the end of that conversation, so we have to suppose. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think she said, "Hey, I'm gonna go through with this." I think that like, okay, you guys put your votes on Romeo. Yeah,
right. And now, follow-up question: let's say Omer gets the idol played on him. I also want to ask you about the idol with Mike as well. Let's not forget about that. Let's say he gets the idol played on him. Who do you think Marianne actually votes out? Because ultimately it's going to be up to her. She can side with Mike and Jonathan and vote out Romeo, or she could also vote out Jonathan. What do you think she would actually do there?
So I believe that I was debating this with Steven last night, and I'm not sure which side I ultimately landed on last night, but I think today I feel pretty strongly that Marianne would vote with Mike and Jonathan and vote out Romeo.
Interesting.
Because I think at that point she has already betrayed Omer and Lindsay. She feels like that Omer is the person who has the best chance to win. Even in that like worst case scenario, okay, let's vote out Romeo. She still has an idol in her pocket and feels like, okay, I am going to go to the final three with Mike and with Jonathan. I think she feels like that's a good draw for her. And then ultimately
go to the end with Mike.
Does Marianne want to go to the end with Mike?
That's what you just said?
Yeah, I think that that's a good scenario for her.
I don't think she wants that.
Well, what do you think that she would prefer?
Ideally, probably Romeo and Jonathan, but
right.
I guess that would be not possible if she has to pick between one of them here, which is why this is an interesting theoretical spot for her. But I mean, maybe you're right. I don't know. It was just a guess. But if I were out there, I would think that Mike is going to be more threatening to win than Jonathan probably, and then a lot of the people that are out there. He's made a lot of really good connections with a lot of people. People seem to really like him, and he's maneuvered out of a tribe that got totally decimated in large part because of him. Because of him, So. I would know. I would be nervous about going to the end with Mike potentially.
I think that it would not be her preferred course of action. Yes, we'll see how these last couple of days shake out. But I think that, if it came down to it on the tiebreak vote, I do think that she would throw Romeo away because of the, alliance that she had made with Mike and then with Jonathan. And I think that she was going to be voting with the two of them and wanted to at least have 3 votes to Omer and Lindsay's 2 going into the final 5.
I think that's fair. It brings up an interesting question of why are they, and they know more than we do. They're the ones that are out there. But I am curious if it's a mistake by Omer and Lindsay to even be targeting Jonathan in this spot.
Yeah.
It does feel like Lindsay has had a little bit of tunnel vision, and maybe this is just the edit, but on getting Jonathan out, where it does seem like maybe she would actually potentially be able to beat him in the end, at least based on the interactions that we've seen. It seems like maybe his game isn't as respected by the group that's out there as some other people. So I would think that Jonathan might be somebody that you might want to go to the end with. And in the case when I played in Millennials vs. Gen X, I had an ally who was winning a lot of challenges, and I thought that was amazing. If there's somebody that I think that I can beat at the end and they're winning challenges, I'm not worried about winning those challenges myself. I want to keep the immunity out of the hands of the people that I'm trying to vote out. And if there's somebody even better than me at the challenges, which isn't, hard to come across.
Yeah.
But if there is, then, and that can prevent those people from winning, this seems like a good thing, probably. Right.
Certainly. And, After watching the episode back again, and I loved everything that Omer did in this season, but I feel like that for Omer and Lindsay, I feel like that they kind of had not such a great round all together with in terms of like what they were planning. Like I'm still not exactly sure why they felt like Mike was going to go with voting out Jonathan and why Jonathan was going to be okay with voting out Mike. I think that they just sort of like went with that, even though it didn't seem like it was going to make a lot of sense, especially like as we knew that those two had become very close here down the stretch.
And why is Jonathan the primary target as opposed to Mike? I think Mike was thinking they're going to come after me. He was wrong, kind of. But I think he should have been right because it makes more sense for them to cut. Like, it is logical that he would think that they would come after him because I think that probably is the right move for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they had something that they could do about it.
Yes.
Or you probably already talked to Omar, I'm sure. Or did you see the interview with Mike Bloom?
Yeah. No, I mean, I did. I spoke with Omer. I went right to the horse's mouth. I saw the idol nullifier.
The idol nullifier.
Ding! Yeah.
What?
And so I do feel like that. Then the next plan was going to be at the final five. Mike is going to play his idol, but then they were going to idol nullify Mike with his idol. But that I just feel like that with introduce
this to your listeners, or are they well aware that Omer had an idol?
And I do want to talk about that with you, as its own thing. Let's do a deeper dive into that next. But Omer had an idol nullifier and did not ever get to use it, and it was not shown on the show. But if you watch the exit interview through all of his exit interviews, Mike Bloom and Dalton Ross and Gordon Holmes and the works, he talked about his idol nullifier. Of course, if you watch the video, you can see he had it in the exit interview today. So I think that was the plan next. But I still am just unclear as to why they felt like that. Okay, Mike isn't going to say anything to Jonathan and Jonathan isn't going to say anything to Mike, or if they just felt like, okay, we've got Marianne, we've got Romeo, we've got Marianne's extra vote. There's nothing that these guys can do about it.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe because they thought that, they couldn't have done it without Marianne.
Mm-hmm.
So that even if the two of them get together, that Marianne is not going to... And I think that was probably the blind spot, was probably Marianne.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Even if the guys get together, there's nothing they can really do about it without Marianne.
Right. And then don't think that they thought that Romeo was going to be voting with them. So I think that they thought they probably had Romeo's vote, which I guess Marianne had intercepted then at that point. And I just don't think that they ever thought that Marianne would be working with those two guys to go to the end.
The bigger mistake, though, than anything that we just talked about is probably thinking, and this is just from... This is the first time playing the game. They don't explain these mechanics and how they work. You have to kind of be... This is the one place where being a massive super duper fan is going to come in handy. It's not normally that useful. But if you understand the mechanics of how idols are hidden, you would probably be able to surmise here that an amulet advantage will not reappear as an idol, especially if you know that there are also still idols being held by other people.
Now, what they did not know is that Marianne had an idol that had been found.
Right, but they know about Mike's.
Yes.
They know that there is at least one idol still in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I'm aware... There's no new... Even in the preview for next episode, they show Lindsay going around searching for an idol. I don't think there's anything for her to find.
I don't think so. Romeo looks like also he's going to be working on a fake idol, but yeah. So and that was the other mistake of that. For Lindsay and Omar, that she's got to play the amulet advantage for him in that spot.
Or
Yes.
I actually think whether this was her plan or not, it's a better situation for her to at some point have Omer out of the game. Maybe not exactly right here, right now, but I do think Omer probably is going to win at the end. And Lindsay has played a very strong game, but Omer has made more of an impact on the jury. Potentially. I mean, I think at least that's what we're led to believe. And so I think she needed him out of the game. I don't know if she was planning on getting him out or not at any point. We never heard that from her, but it's kind of good for her in a sense that he's out. So it's not necessarily that not playing it is a mistake. For her, I wonder, and probably not because too many people knew about the amulets, but I wonder if there was any way for people to not find out that the amulet idol can only be played until 6, because if she can hold on to it and then bluff it at 5 and basically claim to have a live idol, then there is a reason to not play that thing at 6. That's the only thing I can think of that is a good strategic move for holding on to it, is that then you can use it as a bluff, but probably not possible considering how many people.
I just think Lindsay is like a Tony Vlachos in terms of like, working with. I mean, she was the person that came up with the idea to, okay, what if we take Mike's idol away from him? But I just don't think that she seems like that. She's Captain Loophole.
Maybe. I mean, I think the real issue is that too many people knew about it. So I don't think it was. What I'm talking about is probably a moot point because it was probably never even going to be possible. But the other possibility that I wanted to talk to you about, which if I would have talked to you last week, I would have been wrong about absolutely everything, because I think I actually texted this to you. There is no way that Omer is giving that idol back to Mike.
Yes. I
thought at this point in the game with
should I go back to our text conversation, or is it embarrassing?
Oh, okay. You can go ahead.
But this is how much Adam Klein loves Survivor. I'm
okay to be wrong. I've been wrong.
Yeah, I'm not trying to call you out, but that just in terms of just behind the scenes stuff. So I book all of the survivors for the podcast, and I reach out and I ask people to do that. All right, hey, do you want to come on the show? What's a good week? But almost nobody wants to start talking Survivor with me as soon as I engage with them.
I think you opened the door to it. I think you started talking about it.
Yeah, let's see.
Which I can't believe, because you're the guy that talks about it all the time, and you want to talk about it even more.
Well, yeah. I think what I said was it's shaping up to be a very interesting week next episode. I mean, that was
vague enough, I guess. And then what did I say?
You said, I don't need to.
Oh, did I say so? What did I say?
Nothing disparaging. You compared some of the cast members to maybe a person from your season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You said, why vote out the guy winning immunity when he is stopping the people you actually want to win? That would be a super valuable as an ally.
Yeah.
So,
but I really thought you opened up the conversation to talking about Survivor.
No, I'm always there. Anytime you want to talk Survivor with me, I'm just saying that none of the other survivors really, start talking about the season with me before we get here.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, I did say no. The first thing I said is no way is Omar giving that idol back.
Mm-hmm. And he did, but what we didn't know was that he had the idol nullifier.
Right. But okay, so that does change it for sure. But don't you still want an idol at that point? Wouldn't that be a bonus? I mean, I guess it definitely would bring more heat on you. Maybe it makes it harder to survive at 5 if you steal an idol at 6 and then use it to take somebody out. Maybe it does make it a little bit tougher to get Mike's jury vote. if he's really pissed about that or something. But I was like, the way Omer's been playing this game is he is willing to do things, he's tell little white lies here and there. He's not playing a perfectly clean game. And I thought it would be totally in character to hang on to that thing and be like, sorry. And if you're pissed about it as Mike, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
You can't vote him out.
I just think that it was a little bit too much of that. Omer and Lindsay, had the plan of, okay, here's what we're gonna take out Drea here. At the final 6, we're gonna get Jonathan. Then at the final 5, Mike's gonna play his idol, but not so fast. We're gonna play the idol nullifier, and then we're gonna get Mike out at 5. So I think they just had like this plan that was kind of set in stone at that point. And then I feel like that they weren't necessarily paying close enough attention to, all right, but what's the environment on the ground right now of like, boy, Mike and Jonathan look plenty close. I'm not sure necessarily.
Plan, if it would have works way better for Omer than for Lindsay, because
I agree.
Lindsay needs Jonathan in the game.
Yeah. And well, the thing I wanted to add with that was that for Lindsay, I do understand. And while I totally agree on the tunnel vision side of it, we had this come up last season with Ricard and Shan talking about going to the end with each other. And Shan was the one who said, a lot of times, if a woman goes to the end with a man, she isn't going to get the credit that the jury is going to look at. Okay, oh, well, it was really the man who was running things. And Ricard said, well, not this season. And maybe for Lindsay, who has not seen season 41, could be sort of like, okay, well, I'm worried if I go to the end, the jury is not going to see what I have done in Jonathan's giant shadow that he has cast. I'm sorry.
What about Omer's? Isn't it the same situation?
Yeah. Well, I think that what she is trying to paint herself, though, as her game was that she came in and played the dominant physical game. She won the challenges. Now, I don't know necessarily what everybody in the jury's rubric is going to be, but for her especially, who's saying, I came in and I dominated this game physically, I think it's harder for her to make that case when Jonathan is also in the final 3 and then is also trying to argue the same point.
I hear a lot of people talk about wanting to go to the end with people that they can differentiate themselves from. I've always thought that was way overvalued as a strategy.
Interesting.
I don't think that you need to go to the end with people that are like different from you. I just think you need to think about it in pure, simple terms of who has more votes. Like, it's not about, I can make this argument at the end if I can go with this person, or make this argument at the end. It's who beats me. Mm-hmm. And I think people miscalculate that all the time. And now I have to say that watching the show, we have the benefit of so much more, so much different information that is presented to us in a way that's designed to make us feel like Omer's going to win the game if he makes it to the end. So maybe that's not so obvious to everybody that's there. And maybe it's not even the truth. Who knows? Maybe
I love that distinction that you made
but
about that. We have so much different information because like it really is interesting. Like who knows more, a person who is out there or a person who is watching on television and seeing the confessionals?
They should know more about who wins at the end, right?
Yeah.
Like, because they are experiencing people's frustrations with one another, respect for one another, admiration, jokes, they live together. They should know more, but I feel like this is one of the biggest areas that people just miss the signs all the time. And a lot of it is just, we can't possibly, they throw their hands up in the air and they say, well, we can't possibly know. So, we just have to hope for the best. And like, no, you got to figure it out. There's like, you can figure this out. There's always a way to figure it out. Maybe you'll be wrong, but like, if you really focus on like, where do I fall in the hierarchy? It's something that can be determined, I think. I don't even know what I'm getting at here, but the main point is it does appear to us as the audience that if Omer makes it to the end, he wins. And so anyone who is willingly wanting to go to the end with him is playing a losing game. That's what it appears like. So this may actually, and I don't know if Lindsay actually wanted to go to the end. We've already said we don't know what her actual thoughts and feelings on that are. She definitely wanted him in the game at the moment. Maybe she had a plan for how to dispatch him later.
I think she did. I think she wanted him in the end.
That next move was to get out Mike at 5.
Yeah.
So then you're saying that the only chance to get out Omer is at Final Four fire making.
I don't think she wanted to get out Omer. I think she felt like that him and her were going to take each other. I think that's really great if you can find that in the game, the person that you want to sit at the end with and that they want to sit. And I think that she felt like that her skill sets matched up well against Omer's. And I don't think that she was ever thinking about taking out Omer.
It appears that would have likely been a losing game then.
Mm-hmm.
From or maybe perspective, it appears that if that was the goal, then that was unlikely to be successful.
Perhaps she's thinking, okay, and then once I get Jonathan out, and then we'll get out Mike, and then I will win the Final Four immunity. I'll take Romeo to the end, and Omer and Marianne have at it, make fire. Maybe she's feeling like,
or maybe she's like, I'm gonna go into fire against Omer, and if that's the plan, and you want to do that and take him out, then absolutely, that feels like a winning game. Mm-hmm. Right there.
Yeah.
So there were potential paths, but I do wonder if she saw Omer as the threat that we see him to be as the audience. I wonder if if he downplayed himself to her intentionally, probably to make her feel that way. And maybe there's a chance that we're not even right, that Omer does beat her in the end. So maybe we should all give up podcasting.
No, I can't. Don't make me, get an honest job, please. Adam, I would love to talk to you about something that you mentioned earlier, and that is the bombshell that we found out today that Omer had the idol nullifier here in this game. So many questions. Okay, first off, are you shocked to find out that the idol nullifier has returned to the game after it had a great introduction where it worked out in the best possible scenario, where the underdog alliance of the Davids used it successfully against the Goliaths to flip the numbers, and the Godfather Carl said bing, and everybody loved it. In season 39, it returned. And
wait, remind me on David versus Goliath. You say the minority played it successfily?
I believe so. I believe so. I believe it was so.
Minority, right?
So I believe it was in conjunction with, and I don't have Jordan Kalish here with me, but I believe that, so they used Carl's idol nullifier in the same round as Nick used the vote steal to steal Dr. Allison's vote. And I believe that there were 6 Goliaths and 5 Davids. And so when Nick stole a vote from the Goliaths, it actually was the group of 5 people actually became the voting majority. And then use the idol nullifier against Hot Cop Dan to take Hot Cop Dan out of the game.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that, because that impacts what I'm going to say. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please.
Which was really the best case scenario, that because really the hidden immunity idol that I think when it serves its purpose is something that's used to help the underdog who is sort of being targeted by a majority alliance. And when you put an idol nullifier into the game, you are taking the thing away from, you have your rootable underdog who, in best case scenarios, Kelly Wentworth, does not count, nullifies 9 votes against her, and then ultimately has a great moment. And we saw really the worst case scenario in season 39 when Janet, lifeguard Janet, ends up at the final 5 going to play her hidden immunity idol. And then because Detective Dean flipped the coin on the island of the idols and got the idol nullifier, that they were able to nullify Janet's idol, and then Janet got voted out of the game at the final 5, which is what would have happened exactly to Mike in the first hour of the finale coming up. Why did Survivor go back to the well on this, Adam?
The idol nullifier is an inherently bad Survivor advantage. I've talked about this before because of exactly what you just said. And I was surprised when you said the underdogs used it, but it only makes sense because they became the majority.
Yes.
The way that this advantage has to work is that it only works in the hands of the majority. It's not good for the game. It's not good for seeing things change and shift and whatever. If you are in the minority and you don't have a vote steal to become the majority, you cannot use the idol nullifier effectively because you can't get the votes on the person. I mean, unless you do a plurality vote where the majority divides their vote and then whatever, but it's very unlikely, right? And so it's never been a good addition to the game. So, but the question was, am I surprised that it's back?
Yeah.
No. No.
What has to happen for them to retire the idol nullifier? I mean, they didn't include it in the episodes. What
has to happen for... He's not going to like that I'm going to say this, but he's not listening to this anyway. For Jeff to not lie to the contestants at the merge about becoming safe and winning immunity. I know he was very upset when people said that he lied last season, but that's what it is. I mean, come on, that's what it is. You can't say you're going to be safe at Tribal Council and then whoopsie daisy, just kidding. Like that's a lot. Like production shouldn't be in the business of lying to contestants for what? The reverse time smash the thing.
And Applebee's.
And now taking one of the most important votes of the game at the final 7 and turning it into a game of chance. That was one of the best episodes of the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
Only because Lindsay got very lucky with a 33% chance to stay. If that didn't happen, that whole incredible dynamic, what's going to happen, all these different moving pieces, Tribal Council gets thrown out the window and you have a stupid episode. So the episode only succeeded in spite of itself.
Yes.
So I don't know. What is it going to take? Are we listening? We don't like twists that are just random. Let's change things. Let's flip it around for no good reason that don't let people play. The game is good. Your show is brilliant. It has
your cast is amazing.
And your cast is amazing. Trust it. Let them play. They are so good at this game. Let them take it to the next level. And I think maybe this comes from what Jeff was saying to us in season 40, which is he's like, I think you guys have broken the game. I don't know what to do next year. I don't think it's broken. I think maybe him thinking that it's broken is making him want to add in these new dynamics to every single thing. But I don't think it's broken. I think he needs to have more faith in the concept that has gotten us this far, gotten them this far, gotten him this far. Anyway, I'll get off my pedestal here. What's that?
Gotten us this far.
Sure. I mean, look at it's
us.
an incredible show. It's changed both of our lives in an incredibly dramatic way. I have so much love for Jeff and the production and this show, and I'm so grateful. Let's keep it. Let's
Yeah.
Let's keep it what we love about it. Votes at tribal council. Those are nice.
What a
We like
concept.
votes. We like voting people out.
Yeah. So let me give you my crackpot theory of the day today that the idol nullifier that we did not get shown in this season, but Omer did definitely get, he found with Jonathan after they won a reward in the pre-merge. My theory
about that, by the way.
Sure.
I don't know if you know the answer, but why was it at their camp?
So I had asked, yes, I asked, how did you come into possession of the idol nullifier in the exit interview with Omer? And he said, for the reward where they won the fish, that they went to the well, and there was just like the thing that said idol nullifier, advantage, that was sort
just
of like
sitting on the well, or
just sitting, I guess, just sitting on the well. So it's kind of a weird thing. But here's my crackpot theory.
Reward?
I don't know, Adam.
Buried in the fish. That'd be cool if it's inside
inside of a fish. Yeah. Okay.
Cool. They cook it and it comes out all charred.
Yeah. I mean, maybe this was like the prototype for when Drea went to the well, and it was like in the red paint of, maybe it's like, okay, let's just put this out by the well and see who's going to discover it first. But so my crackpot theory is that, do you think, is it possible that the secret advantage that Xander could have gotten had he looked down at the right moment, do you think that maybe that could have been the idol nullifier?
Yeah. Seems reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, actually.
Yeah,
probably.
Now, he's the only person that played an idol in that season, so I'm not sure necessarily.
Wow, is he? Wow.
I think he's the only person that played the idol successfully. I think that Shan and Nasir both got voted out with the idol in their pocket. And so would have been interesting to see Xander with an idol and an idol nullifier.
The idol nullifier is just such a garbage twist. I mean, basically, I'm not a fan of taking immunity away from people in general. I think I'm gonna go with a blanket statement on that. I feel like that's probably a good thing. Yeah. When you win an immunity challenge or you find an idol and you decide to play it, you should be safe.
I mean, this seems like there are basic things in the game that these are things should be true. Yeah.
All right. A lot of sense. So we agree. So podcast. That's it.
That's it. That's it. But so the idol nullifier, was playing a factor in some of the decisions that Omer was thinking in terms of that. Okay, well, I'll give the idol back to Mike, and then that's gonna be the tool that we're gonna use.
It does make his gameplay in this episode make a lot more sense.
Yes, for sure. I want to go back and ask you about that for you in your game. Could we sort of like line up like as a 1-for-1 of it was Omer, the David Wright as the person who no,
and here's why, because Omer was until this episode, felt like he was totally under the radar and not seen as a big threat. Dave was the total opposite. Dave, for rounds and rounds, had been like the threat of the game. And everybody was talking about it. Everybody knew it. It came up at every tribal council. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, even though like he was... If Dave, the similarity is Dave gets the end, he wins. Omer gets the end, at least from what it appears, he wins. That's where the similarities end. I actually think Omer, I love Dave. I think he played an absolutely incredible game, but I think you're playing an even better game if you're going to make it to the end and get all the votes and nobody knows it. And it appeared like that's where Omer was. And it's why I think if he successfully made it to the end and never got sort of revealed to be this big threat, that he would have gone down as one of the best to ever play and to ever win the game. Because he was doing it without people picking up on it. And that's really hard to do, to keep and it has to be done intentionally. You don't make yourself the star of the show. And that's probably what the downfall was. He found himself in a position where, you know, in order to get Dre out, he had to sort of become the center of the narrative. Obviously, all it takes is one person, clearly. I mean, unless she already knew. Maybe Marianne already knew. We have to imagine that that could have been the case. But it appeared like maybe Marianne sort of like realized after that happened that this guy's got to go.
Mm-hmm. You talked about how you feel like that Romeo is getting an unfair shake in this season. I would love to hear more about why you think that.
So just to run it back, I think people forget how good of a pre-merge.
So good. He was my winner pick, Romeo.
Is he still?
No. I mean, that it would be, you know, almost unfathomable to come up with a scenario where Romeo is going to win the game.
Right. But pre-game, he was your winner pick.
I mean, from preseason, he was my winner pick.
Right.
And then I was feeling very good about my winner pick up until the merge.
Yeah, but did you pick him on Reddit? Because I picked Marianne on Reddit. I'm gonna.
What is Reddit? Is like the official place. I mean, what is this podcast? Chopped liver?
Well, do you have? Is there going to be a badge?
No, I don't have flair. My flair is Rob Cesternino. That's it.
There's no obvious thing that shows me which of your winner picks have won. So, what do we got to take your word for it, or go listen to the podcast to find out?
Mm-hmm.
What about a visual? No good? I want a visual on Reddit. I get a little badge with the season number and the color with the thing.
Yeah, so, I got to be honest. I didn't know this was a thing.
Well, yeah, you got maybe next time on your podcast you could put next to my name like a little badge that I picked the winner, and then.
So when you go on the Reddit, that's your correct winner picks. That it's like a baseball card. I thought it was like your favorite player.
Yeah, for all we know, you're just making this up right now. I mean, I guess there's
Why would I lie about this? No, Romeo is my winner pick.
No way to lie about it on Reddit. You have to lock that in, and there's no exceptions. If you miss it by a minute, too bad. If you don't spell your username right and put the exact right capitalization, too bad. They make it very clear you're out of luck.
Mm-hmm.
So
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow. This is huge.
For those of you just listening to this, my name now has my winner pick next to it. So this is great. I think this is a great addition to the podcast, Rob.
Yeah. So everybody that had a name next to their thing so that's their winner pick for this season. But what about when it's like an old, okay, Rob, Kim?
That's their flair. The flair and the winner badge are different. Oh man.
What the hell is the winner badge?
Gen Xers.
Yeah, I guess so.
They actually gave me my winner badge for season 33, even though I didn't make a pick because I didn't want to spoil it, obviously.
Okay. All right.
The next one is 33, 32. I got that one right.
Mm-hmm.
I've been dry. I
mean, I do recall last season you've very bullish on your winner pick, Tiffany.
I was sure she was going to win.
Yeah.
I'm wrong a lot. Modern Survivor does a really good job of tricking me. I will say their editors are something else.
All right, but let's go back to Romeo. Yeah.
Okay. So Romeo had an outstanding pre-merge. Maybe the best pre-merge of the whole cast. Maybe?
Yeah, I think probably between him and Drea.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
Mike had a good
Drea was not only in a good spot, but also had, maybe you got to give it to Drea. So up there as one of the best pre-merges, right?
Yeah.
And I think people forget that. Here's where I don't understand exactly what went down with Romeo. At the merge, there was all this talk about an alliance of 8. And I remember talking to my girlfriend Kaylee at the end of that episode being like, I count 9. I don't understand who is in this 8 because it seemed like there were 3 from every tribe. And the person that I was including that apparently wasn't a part of it was Romeo. And I didn't understand how that was the case because who was it? Romeo and Drea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Were seems super tight pre-merge, and I didn't, and it seemed like Dre was very involved in the 8, and I didn't understand how the 8 comes together without him. And then in the next episode, it's like, well, he's been paranoid, and I feel like the paranoia that they were talking about came as a result of him being excluded from this 8 and not a cause of it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Although that I feel like that, in my interview with Hai had said that, it's like that. I'm trying to remember exactly the order that he put it. He said, he wasn't paranoid because he was at the bottom. He was at the bottom because he was paranoid.
Okay, so Hai is claiming that it's the opposite of what I just said, and he would know better than I would. He was out there, but basically that Romeo got himself out of this 8 or whatever as a result of being paranoid.
That's according to Hai and seemingly also from Drea.
Okay, so obviously there's something there, at least in terms of how he's appearing to. From the episodes, it seemed like his paranoia came after he was already being excluded.
Seemed justified, yeah.
But yeah, it seemed justified to me. I was like, because they were so upset that he was all like freaking out. I'm like, because he's the backup vote. Like, right. You're coming after him. It reminded me of how I felt in the merge of Winners at War when I was being told, oh, we're voting out Nick. And I'm supposed to just be like cool with everything, but I'm like, who does Nick think it is? And why is Nick and Wendell and them coming after me? Oh, it's because you keep telling them that I'm not to be trusted. And they think that you want to come after me. So that's why they're putting my name out. And so I don't like being just like, having to go along with this plan and having to just continuously take heat from the other side. And then I'm just going to get dragged to the end as a goat. Anyway, 40 doesn't matter. The point is I understand the feeling of paranoia when it's justified that you're actually on the bottom of your group. And I don't think, that there's anything wrong with like trying to change that. I think you should try to change that. And so I have to give Romeo a lot of credit for like scrambling to save himself and stay alive. While I absolutely think the impression of him as paranoid and not doing anything, whatever, is going to hurt him in the end, and he's not going to win a jury vote, I do think that there's more to his game than just the goat of all goats, which it feels like is what we're supposed to believe about him from the show.
Yeah, I think for Romeo that he and I was gonna ask you if he felt at all like the season 40 version of you where you're all of a sudden not feeling like you are in like that sort of like bigger group that's controlling everything. So he comes into the merge at a really good position and then ultimately is kind of left out of everything. And so then what does he do? He really goes into scramble mode. And where does that get him? That gets him like even further at the bottom to the point where, and then I'm sure he'd like, well, why is my name coming up? Like, well, you're scrambling. So then that kind of
gets for him than me. I scrambled and got myself voted out when I would have been safe otherwise. So he did better than me.
And he really, dodged the bullet a couple of times, really on the split vote. He got a favorable draw where they took out Roxroy, and he sort of survived that. And sort of like, I think that he kind of learned the lesson of like, okay, if I scramble, then okay, well now because I'm at the bottom, if I scramble, people are going to come after me. But if I just do nothing, then they're not going to come after me. So like sort of like that thing that like that like will to live in the game, that sort of like to scratch and claw and do whatever it took. That was what was getting him to be more of a target. So I think they kind of broke Romeo in the game.
Maybe. I mean, at this point, I just think we're not hearing enough from Romeo to know exactly what he's thinking and feeling. Down the stretch, he's gone a little quiet on the show. We've only heard about him from other people's perspectives for the most part. He was a part of this vote that got out Omer. It absolutely felt like this was Marianne's idea and plan, but he's one of the 3 votes that makes it happen. And so, he's involved at the very least, and he had a better episode than a lot of people, I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, at a certain point, like, you can't just sort of rest and hope to make it to the end when you have to it's on him to understand how he's being perceived by the rest of the group and to do something about it to put himself in a winning position. And that is the piece that I think that's missing from his game, at least at the moment.
Yeah.
But I don't know that, I mean, at this point there may not be anything that he can do, but I don't know.
Yeah, hard to envision the scenario where it's going to work out for Romeo, but I do think that he did have what it took to do well in the game. I just think that he ended up in a really bad circumstance here.
Yeah, I mean, I think a similar thing happened with Tyson on Winners at War after he got voted out and he came back. He felt what at least similar to what you were describing, that sort of fear of like really scrambling and going after it because he felt like that's what got him booted the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But then that can backfire in terms of getting voted out as well, which happened to, Tyson just got voted out again before too long because he maybe wasn't scrambling enough.
Mm-hmm. I want to go back to Mike, who you said earlier you felt like is maybe in the second best position to win the game. I thought Mike actually had a pretty good episode overall, because I think that even though I'm sorry,
he's had a great season. How many scenes have we seen of Mike really genuinely bonding with the people that are out there? That, I think, is his greatest asset, is his ability to connect. He's really like friendly and nice and interested in other people, and that goes a long way.
It did seem like for a couple episodes, especially around the time that Hai went out of the game, that Omer like had him like running around in circles, and like had him like really worked up about Hai, about the different ways that Omer had misled him. But good for Mike. He outlasts Omer in the game. And I thought that he did some really good work on establishing the bond with Marianne, who he had not seemed especially close with prior to this round of play, and did some really good work on like locking things up with Marianne, and ultimately, benefiting from the great move that Marianne ultimately made in the tribal council. But when Mike talks to Marianne about working together, okay, nobody will see this coming, he ends up revealing to Marianne about Lindsay has the amulet advantage. And I just wanted to check with you, do you feel what was there intentionality on Mike's part in the way that that he dropped that, and then you didn't know that? Like it wasn't that he like said, hey, I have a secret to tell you. He just revealed it and then said like, oh, she didn't tell you? I thought you would have known.
I think it was very intentional, and I think that even saying it that way probably made it work even better, because it's like, oh, you're supposed to be so close,
right?
Like, how do I know this and you don't?
So my question is, do you feel like did he intentionally go into that conversation and and drop that in front of her in a way, to the most effective emotional way, where Marianne is crying when she's talking about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would think I would give him credit.
Very savvy if he did.
Yeah, I would give him credit for being able to like do that. But I guess we don't really know. I don't know. It could have also just been like he actually maybe did think that she knew. I'm not sure, but I think he, if he knew that she didn't know, he would have done it like this, I think, to really like sort of spook her with that. I mean, I think he even said something in the show that like, I'm going to use this to my advantage, that I know this, right?
Yeah. Yes, I believe he did say that. So yeah, I mean, that was it. Like,
so there's your answer.
Yeah, I mean that was I thought like just like a really like a nifty way for that information to come out, because you could have done it a lot of different ways of like, hey, I have to like I'm gonna tell you something, that he made it seem like that he made a mistake, like, or he like let something slip out that like, oh, like it fell out of his pocket and she saw it.
Yeah, I don't know that he made it seem like a mistake, but just like something that she already would have known. I don't
Yes,
think he
because
was like, oh,
Lindsay's.
whoops, I shouldn't have said that.
No, I don't mean that, but I just mean like that. Like he didn't just come out and reveal it like he's stirring the pot. He came out and just like said it, and then like, oh, like she didn't tell you. I thought she's telling everybody. She told me.
Right.
He really. I thought it was like for maximum effect.
Yeah, and I think I do think it worked really well, but I do think that Marianne was already thinking that we got to get Omer out, right?
Marianne was already, yes, Marianne from the beginning of the episode was talking about how that Omer was the person that nobody else was looking at targeting.
And I do wonder how much of that came from what Drea said when she was voted out, if any. What do you think?
I definitely think that was like a big part of it. I don't know how much that Marianne was like involved with the plan in terms of like what was going to be happening. I do feel like that last week's episode, Marianne has given us such great reactions all through the season. There was a point in the tribal council last week where her jaw was just like had fallen open and she had to use her hand to close her open mouth. Because like she was just so shocked by what was going on.
Can we also talk about her unspooling in the challenge?
Yes, hilarious.
Okay, this is not a thing, right? This is not a thing to make you less dizzy. Like if you spin really fast in one direction, you can't then spin really fast in the other direction to like unspool yourself.
Talk this through. Is that what she did?
Oh yeah, you didn't realize that's what she was doing. So why else would she be spinning when she didn't have to? I think she was trying to unspool herself, like spin the opposite direction that she had just been spinning in to counteract the effect of the spinning in that direction. I mean,
that doesn't work.
Do we? I don't know. Should I try it? Like, is this like?
Yeah, you want to try it? Yeah, just in your chair.
Right. Okay. Do I go? Is this? I don't even know if I'm going fast enough to really get to. Okay, no,
yeah,
I
don't think so. Okay, Adam Klein is spinning. He's going back the other way. I mean, this could be a TikTok.
Okay, now I stop.
Yeah.
No, I'm still dizzy.
Yeah.
I think. Now the question is, am I less dizzy than I would have been if I hadn't unspooled? I don't know. It would require a longer investigation to do it both ways, but I don't think we have that.
She spun herself so hard that she went way out of her lane. She was running off the course to it's like a miracle she didn't run into camera people.
I will say I'm no longer dizzy. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I spun enough to really get myself super dizzy.
Yeah.
Or did it maybe help a little bit to spin the other way? I don't know. We need a whole podcast on this, I think.
I'll put that on the list of questions for Marianne for the deep dive.
If you're doing a Beyond the Edge podcast,
yes,
you'd think you could squeeze in some.
You don't need to drag my other podcasts. You don't need to slander the rest of this network.
No, I mean, I'm sure you're. Honestly, the podcast is
people love Beyond the Edge
podcast. They love Beyond the Edge podcast. They probably have way more fun listening to Beyond the Edge podcast than
no doubt
watching Beyond. I wonder how many people actually just listen to the Beyond the Edge podcast and don't even watch.
I think most of them.
You think? Most of them listen and do not watch.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's the majority of the Beyond the Edge recap listeners.
What?
Yeah.
Imagine saying that about this podcast, that a majority of the listeners for the Survivor podcast don't watch Survivor.
No, there isn't one person who's listening to this that didn't watch the episode.
And yet you're saying a majority of the On the Edge listeners don't even watch Beyond the Edge.
I said what I said.
Look, if you have time for that, you'd think you'd have time for a interesting physics-based. You can, get us real scientists out there and run some experiments.
Well, we do a series with Christian of Ask Dr. Hubicki. Maybe that maybe he knows the answer.
Question for Christian for sure.
Yeah. Tell me about this final five now. If you had to prognosticate how this goes, okay, could you put us into the give your brilliant brain just a crack at how this is all going to play out?
Yeah, because let's just put on the record again how wrong I am. I mean, if I would have done this last week, whoo, buddy, I would have been so wrong. Okay, so why not? Let's put it out there. Who's going to be safe for sure? We know, well, at least we think, if they play the idols for themselves. Marianne, Mike, totally safe, right? Now, Lindsay thinks that she's going to go find an idol, but there ain't nothing out there. Sorry. So 2 people safe. There's 3 people left. So Romeo, Lindsay, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Lindsay feels like the most likely person to be voted out here, right?
Yeah, unless she wins the immunity.
Right. And if she wins the immunity, then it's Romeo or Jonathan.
Yeah.
If I'm Mike, I keep Jonathan.
If you're Mike, keep Jonathan. Yeah, I think that those 2 guys, they seem to have a bond.
It's not about the bond. It's not about the bond at all. At Final Four, the goal would be to probably take out Lindsay.
Now you are, I feel like, looking at this of like that you are playing optimally for everybody involved, where I'm trying to say like, okay, what are those guys most likely to do? I don't think that Jonathan and Mike turn on each other.
That's what I'm saying.
Even though his name is Mike Turner, he's not a Turner on Jonathan, only on Omer.
Right. Because I think that Mike thinks he can go to the end with Jonathan and win. And I think that's probably reasonable.
Yeah.
And so why vote out somebody who is, well, see, it's different with the Final Four and having the fire making. It is different. It is different. So now I'm rethinking it, because in a normal vote, if I were Final Four Millennials for Gen X and this exact thing happened, I want Ken in the game to win immunity so that Dave doesn't. Right? So if I think that I can beat Jonathan at the end, I don't mind having him in the Final Four and winning immunity. Then we can vote out Lindsay, or if he thinks now Marianne's the bigger threat or whatever, you can do that. But now it changes it with fire making, because now if Jonathan wins the immunity challenge, Mike still might have to go to fire.
Well, can I ask you this question that I was talking about with Steven last night? Do you think that after the move that Marianne made, do you think now the players, we come back and everybody's like, boy, Marianne made a big move. Got to take out Marianne at the Final Five. That's it. We can't let Marianne sit at the end of the game. Not after what she pulled last night.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
And furthermore,
they vote for her and she decides who goes home.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I had been wondering that could Marianne be trying to? Is she rooting for that happen? Could she be trying to
get the vote on her?
Yes.
Right, because if she can get them talking about her as a threat, and this is why we have to go out, perception becomes reality, and if you can. So it may actually, you're saying it may actually be in her best interest to raise her threat level here.
Raise her threat level, like get on Jonathan's nerves, whatever it takes.
Interesting. I mean, she would then be put into five. If she does that, she's basically saying, I'm willing to take the heat from here on. At Final Five, it's not going to be a problem. At Final Four, whoever wins the challenge is almost certainly going to put her in if they're trying to get rid of her because they think she wins at the end. But I still think that, yeah, I'm going to take back a little bit what I said earlier. I still think that this perception of Marianne as somebody you can beat at the end is probably too late for them to fully change their plans to get rid of her, because they've already reserved a spot potentially for her in the final three, and they still have other people that they think they can't beat and might, even if they think now Marianne's got a shot, they can't totally change their plans if they still have people they need to get rid of as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Let me give you some.
Quickly, but
can I give you an outside the box idea and you tell me if I'm crazy? Is
please.
Marianne's best move at 5 to take out Romeo? The only person who could potentially replace her as somebody who might be seen as a GOAT by some of these other players.
So that whoever wins at Final Four chooses her to come with?
Yes. Interesting, right? That's interesting, right?
It depends on if she actually thinks that she can beat anybody at this point.
I feel like that she might have a stronger, she's like in the Sandra. I don't know about that. For other people are thinking about her, and maybe the other players don't quite see her that way. And if she took out Romeo at 5, and then
sorry, go ahead.
Whoever wins 4, isn't she the most likely person that's going to get dragged to the final 3?
Only because of this, because I bet she still thinks maybe I can't beat Mike, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think they should be feeling that about Lindsay as well, because she has played a very good game. But I do think the last night really hurt her, and maybe now they're thinking she's somebody I can beat after that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so but let's say they see Mike as the biggest threat.
Yeah.
Mike cannot be voted out at 5. The only way to get out Mike is at 4. And so if everyone's goal is to get out Mike at 4, are you putting in Marianne to take him out?
I think that no, I think that you'd probably put Lindsay into, or Jonathan goes up against Mike himself, where I think that Marianne, I think, is actually like a really most likely person to get dragged to the final 3.
And how does Romeo then factor into that?
He's out. He's out at 5. She writes down that either she goes with the majority and writes down Romeo's name, or if they vote for her, she writes down Romeo's name.
But I'm saying if Romeo were there, how would he factor into this? Because
I think he's the most likely person to get taken to the final 3 by whoever wins the immunity.
And then they put Marianne into fire against Mike.
I don't see Marianne. If Romeo is gone, I think Marianne, that nobody puts her into the fire.
Let's say she's there though.
Yes.
Right. Like let's play. That's what we're saying she could avoid fire. Does she not avoid fire if Romeo stays? And it seems like, maybe she does end up in the fire making challenge.
Yeah.
If Romeo stays.
Mm-hmm.
Or do they do the thing where they don't want Marianne to have another notch on her belt? So maybe they put themselves in and let Marianne and Romeo go to the end.
Yeah, I don't even know if they would look at it
for Marianne.
I don't know if they would look at it like that way, but I could see either Mike or Jonathan, like let's say they take out Lindsay at 5. Well, let's say they take out Lindsay at 5. Could Mike or Jonathan say like, "Hey, look, this is what is it like? This is how it was always supposed to be. Me versus you in fire making. Mike versus Jonathan making the fire. The winner, that's the only, respectable way for 2 guys like us to go after each other."
I think Lindsay would maybe do the same thing. I think Lindsay could potentially put herself in fire.
Potentially, yeah.
So I don't know if you need to take out Romeo in order to. I do think it helps solidify a spot for her.
I think it's outside of the box. Yeah, I think.
I like it. I mean, I like it. I like the possibility, but you have to be very sure that you beat everybody else.
I think the best case scenario for Marianne is everybody votes for her and she plays her idol and she casts the one vote to knock out Jonathan, Mike, or Lindsay. I think that would be her best case scenario, where it's another like, oh my God, Marianne moment. Taking out Romeo.
Put into fire.
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
If that happens, then they're definitely going to put her into fire.
Right. So, but I do think that go with the flow. And like, if Lindsay wins immunity, go with the flow, take out Romeo, and I think that she has a really good shot of getting brought to the final three.
Right. And then I think she wins in the final three. I mean, from our perspective, but the question is, do they pick up on that, or do they know that that's a potential or a likely outcome? The people that are out there.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out in the first 5 minutes of the episode if they say like, oh, Marianne is really playing a big game, or if it's like, okay, great, our plan worked out. Omer's gone, and now we take out Lindsay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this season is about Marianne.
Sure.
And I think I will say, even though I was thinking that Omer was going to win as of a while in the merge. At the beginning, when people were discounting Marianne and saying she can't win, I said, no. I'm confident in my winner pick. And I wish I could say that I never lost that confidence.
Wavered. Yeah.
I never wait, but I'm back, baby. Mm-hmm. I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm back on the Marianne train, and I'm getting that badge, just like I have here on Rob Has a Podcast.
That's right. Now, if she can do it, I mean, what a incredible run to be sort of like the personality of the season, and then also be the winner of the season. I really feel like that maybe, not since Cochran have we had somebody who was sort of like, the breakout character of the season and also the winner of the season.
Tony?
Maybe, but also like Spencer was widely popular. Like, a lot of people rooted for Spencer in that season. Like, Tony was a character, but he wasn't.
Winners at War. Who's the breakout character?
Tony. I don't really know. It was such an ensemble, Winners at War, that I don't feel like that. Tony had like the moment with the ladder in the beginning of the season, but Tony had like a really quiet middle of the season.
That's true. I took up too much screen time.
You took up too much screen time. Really, for a Marianne win, I mean, it would really be like the classic case of the bunny rabbit in the mailbox eating its dinner.
Right. That's true. God, I love soccer. It makes me cry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, it was almost you, Rob.
What was almost me?
You were almost the character.
Oh, I mean, yeah, what might have been. But it's almost
one immunity challenge away.
One immunity challenge away. But I feel like that's sort of like more of the classic trope of like the, you should have won person, where, whether it's like, the Kathy, the Lex, Johnny Fairplay, the person who, gets a really big edit but isn't the winner. Marianne, has really potentially, like last night, got to have her cake and eat it too.
Right. Yeah, and I think a lot of people they edited it in a way where people would not have seen this coming.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, I really thought, I was like, this is Omer's winning this. Like, how is he not winning this?
Yeah, I really thought that Marianne was kind of gonna get like the Christian edit, the Elaine edit. Like, I felt like that she had like sort of like the 7th place type edit of sort of like, okay, no doubt
going to the end with Omer and not winning, because it definitely felt like there was a lot of this like, here's how I'm playing, but some of it felt like the rest of the players weren't seeing it the way that she was seeing it. Like, I thought the example of at the challenge with the rice, where she, got people to sit out for rice.
Yes.
And she said, I just used my emotions to
emotional manipulation. Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that somebody might say at Final 3. But if everybody believes that you are just an emotional person, then it's going to fall flat. And I thought that they were setting that up to like go to the end with Omer, and she's going to say, these are the things I did. And they're going to say, no, you didn't. You know what I mean? Like, and we see from watching the show that she was playing that way and actually doing that on purpose. But you can see how the other people would say, no, you were just actually crying because you wanted rice, and you shouldn't get like credit for that as like a move.
And now it might be in the winter montage.
Right.
If that was still a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but it would have been interesting. It's so much can change in this game, and I do think that in a final three with Omer, it doesn't go as well probably. But now that we're looking at a final three without him, where she basically almost single-handedly took him out, now she could sweep.
It's possible. Yeah, it really comes down to who she's going to be up against if she makes it there.
Yeah, I mean, probably not a total sweep, but she's, this was one of the biggest episodes for a player ever.
Wow.
I think. In terms of the amount that their like chances of winning went up.
Yes. Okay.
Shot.
Yeah. Their win equity in the season. This was maybe the biggest delta from a person who was probably like, go
to now the favorite to win.
Yeah. What was your move that was the biggest swing from, like not likely to win to most likely to win?
Will flipping.
Okay.
Sure. Will, yeah, if Will just would have stuck with Zeke and them.
The final 9.
At final 9. Look, because I only played the idol correctly because of information from Will. So you could say that, because I was going to try to use the idol to flip the numbers back. It's hard to say whether or not I would have been successful if Will didn't flip, because I wouldn't have had access to the info. So it's hard to say what would have happened for sure. I certainly would have tried to play the idol correctly and flip the numbers back, but it was Will flipping that really changed everything because it allowed us to get the numbers back. That was massive. And I was butthurt watching it back when I was not shown to have any agency in that. And it was shown as like him approaching Dave. And I was butthurt because I was like, we talked about it before, Dave, or whatever. So you don't always see the like most impactful moments of the season potentially. And I do think Will only flipped because he believed that I was with him. And it was one of the only, but the biggest lie I told of Millennials versus Gen X. But it was the lie that I think won me the game. That he thought that I was going to do the pendulum strategy with him and go to the end with him. So I think that it's that. But this was way bigger than that, because at least I would have had a shot if it didn't go that way. And even if it did go that way, I still could have lost, right? Whereas this feels like if it didn't go her way here, it seemed like she was probably going to lose. And now that it has, it seems like she's got a very, very good shot of winning.
Yeah.
Massive switch. She must feel, could you imagine how she feels after this? Come on. What a feeling, huh?
In the moment or watching it all back on television?
In the moment. Yeah. In the moment. She has got to know how big this was for her game. Especially with Omer saying, you did this? And she was like, I did this. And the jury's like,
yeah.
She's got to feel like, oh my God.
Did you have the same thought watching the episode that this was like Jay and Michaela?
I can't remember when I thought that. I can't remember if I thought that as a result of reading things online or if I thought that at the time. I definitely thought that at some point, but I don't remember when I thought that. I'm not going to claim credit for sure because I don't remember. But
it was like that. I feel like from Michaela, like I don't think it was like I feel like that with Omer, I almost feel like that in a way, like I feel like he seemed like almost like proud of Marianne.
Yeah,
Like,
it's different. It is different
yeah,
because Michaela was like, I can't, like,
not
you
thrilled.
would actually do this?
Yeah.
It was more that, whereas like, you did this, damn, like that. So it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same. But the words are close, so I get why.
Yeah.
That made people like think of it like that. But yeah, I mean, I remember when Dave got voted out, the feeling of like, holy shit, I might have just won Survivor. And the feeling that she must have, she's got to know she's got a real shot now, that she's in a good spot, especially with knowing that she has the idol for 5. I mean, she's got to be over the moon. And knowing how big Marianne's reactions are and how much joy she already has in life and the way she reacts to things, her brain must just be like, pew!
That I don't want to jinx it. But if on Wednesday night, like around 10:15 Eastern time, they count the votes and Marianne has it, I think we could potentially see like the biggest reaction. And I think that this is one where, like, I kind of feel like that the reactions were, at season 41 were like kind of muted. Like I don't remember like a big reaction from anybody, to the votes being read. But I do think that we could see like almost like a Price is Right type scenario if Marianne ends up being the winner. Like, can't you see this? Like, if she pulls it off, like hugging everybody, running around the tribal council set,
it's gonna be hilarious. It's yeah.
And then to do the reunion like live in that moment, like I think that's gonna be pretty fun.
Yeah,
if she can do it, and
how much fun is that? God, she would just be like such a fun winner. What a good addition to the winner's circle if it is her, or if it's I mean, I do think Mike is the other option. If it's not her, I have to imagine that it's one of the two of them winning. If I were there, I would think Lindsay as well. But based on the edit, I just don't think that they're giving her. I don't think they're making it her story, which is too bad for Lindsay because I think she's played a really strong game. But it feels like Marianne's story, and if not Marianne, then Mike. And Mike is just such a great guy as well. I don't think he would have quite as big of a reaction, but it would be cool to see him win as well. So either way, we're gonna have a great outcome, I think, next week.
Adam, I have some questions here for you from the listeners of Robin's podcast. Do you have time for questions?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. Well, let me start off with our friend Edward Morris, who wants to know, will you officiate the Zach and Marianne marriage?
Marriage? Oh my God.
Marriage?
I will, but I actually think that by me saying yes, it will be Zach.
Yes.
In both spots.
Okay. Yeah. So you have talked about a little bit about how Zach was your doppelganger that got put onto young Adam Klein.
Yeah. I mean, don't you think?
I could definitely see it.
Yeah. Than I am. He's been
very funny with the social media posts this season. You talked about this in the very beginning of this conversation about how, it's been such a, everybody has like, we've gotten to know everybody in this season. I would say that like, maybe like in the last like 30 seasons, like this has been maybe the most evenly edited season of the show in that almost, every single person, I would even say 18 out of 18, maybe Mariah being the one, and Jackson. But we got something from every single person in this cast. Like we kind of got to know everybody.
And I do think that the editors want to grace everybody with some thing about their experience. I think if Millennials versus Gen X were edited right now, I think when Sunday wins a challenge after jumping for the key on the anniversary of of her being in remission
Right.
from cancer, I think that gets airtime if the season were edited today. So I do think that some things have shifted in terms of like, let's try to acknowledge everybody's experience and tell their stories. But I also think that this cast is really bringing it and have earned, the highlights. They've earned being able to see themselves play the game. Yeah.
Did you have any interaction with Zach from that wasn't somebody that you know him?
No, I mean, I don't know him past talking to him as a result of me finding out that he was on the cast and seeing, oh my God, that's a guy that's exactly like me. But I definitely felt that. And he was like, I think the only person from the cast that I talked to like before the premiere.
Yeah.
Like I've exchanged messages with like a couple of them since then, but maybe I talked to Marianne too. I might have told her she was my winner pick or something. And actually I think maybe Mike, but maybe that was after the premiere. I don't know, but I basically have talked to like the three of those guys. And I was like, yeah, Zach, like if you want to talk, before whatever, I felt so bad when I saw that he was the first boot, because I know how I would have felt, and he handled it so much better than I ever would have. Really, like I would have been absolutely devastated. I mean, even if I got voted out first in Winners at War, I was like out of my mind, terrified that I was going to be the first one voted out after we lost that first challenge.
You didn't sleep, right?
No, not 1 second that whole first night, because my only thing was I got to wait to find a moment where Boston Rob wakes up to go pee-pee, and I got to like wrangle him in the middle of the night, not while he is peeing.
Yeah.
Like before or after.
Hopefully after. Yeah. Did you try to Rob, you look dehydrated. You should drink more.
I was like, what, does this guy ever open his eyes? I was like sleeping next to him, just being like just watching him sleep all night, just being like, open your eyes. Like, come on. Like, I need to talk to you.
Yeah, I did not find him to be a sound sleeper. I feel like he would have a lot of issues with where we were sleeping.
Well, if we wouldn't have built a shelter that was designed for sea breeze, it wouldn't have been a problem, Boston Rob. I will never forget Rob suggesting that we build a shelter up the bluff because he says we'll get a nice sea breeze. I'm like, at night? We want that? But because Rob was like my whole strategy for surviving that first vote, I was like, yep.
Yeah. You didn't have any sort of pull as somebody who's played in Fiji.
I mentioned it.
Oh, no, he was out there for season 39.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had been on that beach, though. I had been on that exact beach, and we set our shelter way back, and it was great. And blocked from the wind, surrounded by trees. This time we decided to build a shelter about this high, as high as this counter. Why? I don't know.
But that's too high or too low?
Too high. It was like, you ever been in a dorm room with a, what's it called? A lofted
You better
bed?
believe it, Adam Klein. Yeah.
Yeah. It was as high as I had to jump up there, right? And then it was massive.
Oh, wait. So I think you're saying that's where the ceiling was. You're saying that's where the...
No!
Why?
I don't know, Rob. I don't know.
I was like, that doesn't sound that high to have as the roof. Yeah.
It didn't make any sense. I was like, why are we building this? For the breeze, Rob, for the breeze to come underneath the shelter and to keep us cool at night. I don't know. And then we made it so big, it was the size of this whole room, just the base, that we ran out of material. So there was no possibility of creating any kind of roof or any kind of whatever, everyone was like, they'll give us more. They didn't give us more. We never got more.
Yeah.
And nobody, that first night, I think maybe Parv and Rob and Ethan tried to sleep, or the second night, or whenever we finished the shelter, they tried to sleep in it. Eventually, they gave up, and everybody ended up surrounding the fire, and no one for the rest of the entire time slept under or above that thing because it was so cold from the wind.
Yeah.
Duh.
All right. Good to know. Okay. But so, and so you would if Marianne and Zach get serious, you would no issues officiating a wedding.
Oh my God, it'd be a dream.
Yeah,
that would be awesome. I've officiated 3 weddings now.
Okay,
so
I know you did for your dad, right?
I officiated my dad's wedding, and when I was an RA in college, I had 2 co-RAs, and I've officiated both of their weddings now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But not a survivor's wedding yet.
Never a survivor's wedding.
Okay.
So, I'm open for business.
Okay. All right. Then
do another side business.
Maybe. I look at that. Maybe, Adam could give you tips on how to get cast on the show. And then like a package deal also can officiate your wedding.
If maybe when Survivor goes off the air, I'm going to need to pivot again. I might lose a lot of business. So
because we're going to be in on the $1 Million Island.
Bingo. That's right.
Yeah. Look, I'll be podcasting it. You'll be getting like 20, 30 people from the 100 on the show.
Yep. They're all going to be my clients, and they're all going to have an alliance because they're going to just go around, and the way that they're going to decide who to give their bracelet to is they're going to say, "Are you one of Adam's people?" And if they say yes, they get the bracelet.
Yeah. They'll say, "Are you one of Adam's clients? Then you're in my alliance."
Bingo! Where's the bell? Yeah. Yeah. Want to get in the club? That's it. That's a good one. I like that. And then they're going to talk about it on the show like the Poker Alliance.
Well, no, the people all just like thank you at the reunion show and get you more business.
That's the dream.
That's the dream. Okay. So then John wants to know, is Jonathan giving you Ken vibes?
Apparently.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yes. But I will say, so if I were playing with Jonathan and I got the sense that maybe he wasn't necessarily getting the respect from everybody, which it appears like that might be the case, that they're not super high on some of the strategic moves that he's made. And I think some of the hangriness has made an impact on potential jury votes, potentially. He is somebody that I would definitely want to align with. And because if I can't win the challenges and you can, we can vote out other people. Perfect. Great. Let's do that. I do think that in this last episode, he showed a lot of awareness of his position. I can't remember what he said that made me think exactly that. Do you remember? He said something where I was like,
so was it when he was alone with Lindsay and he was talking about how that he knew that Lindsay was just trying to get him off of the thing. I actually felt like that Jonathan, while we've been a little bit hard on Jonathan in the post-merge game, I actually thought that even Omer himself was pretty complimentary in the exit interview to the game that Jonathan has played, and gave him credit on a couple different things.
His game is definitely way more than just I'm going to win all of the challenges.
Yes.
I do think that there are things that have still rubbed people the wrong way in terms of how he's played, but that's not to discredit that he has a keen mind for this and is actively strategizing and playing the game. Mm-hmm. Even if other people don't think that it's the best way of going about it or whatever, he is clearly thinking and playing hard, and I think is more aware than maybe people think that he is.
Sure. Yeah. I think for Jonathan, it's just like a little bit of like, I feel like that we're just like on a loop of that, he's like, for me being out here, it takes me 2,000 calories to breathe, and people and I've been a provider and they don't appreciate that, but I don't want them to, because then if they do, then they won't take me to the end, but I want them to. And they should thank me for being a provider, but I don't want them to, but I do want them to. It's like he's just like stuck in this loop, and I understand like the guy's hungry, but
I get that, because the people who struggle the most, and this is definitely something that reminds me of Ken a little bit, is that these big guys who have really sculpted bodies, who work out all the time and have regimented meals.
Mm-hmm.
Survivor is difficult. What you need to do.
Yeah, well, thank you for finally acknowledging that about us, Adam. I appreciate that.
What you need to do when you go on Survivor is you got to live like me and just, only eat when somebody puts food in front of you. And sometimes forget to eat, and don't work out and stuff. Like, what is the gym? That's not fun. That's not good for Survivor. To have that sort of regimented, healthy lifestyle. Do it like me, and just don't be healthy, and then you'll win. Because starving is easy when your body. When you've confused your body so much over the course of 25 or however many years that it doesn't know when it's getting food at all.
Right.
That's perfect for Survivor. And I trained my whole life for that.
Yeah.
It doesn't know when it's going to get sustenance, so you better hold on to all of it. Have no metabolism, and you'll be just fine.
Well, the thing that I did going into Survivor the Amazon was that I was very concerned about starving to death. That was a big concern of mine. And I probably put on like 15 pounds of just fat before I went to go and play, because I just felt like that in my mind, I was like, well, this is something that I can actually have on my person that they can't take away from me. If I go into this game with like all of this fat, where at the end of the game, 38 days later, is like where was my six pack? It's still like I lost like 30 pounds, and it was hard, but I was fine.
Right. I do think that putting on weight is a good idea, but I think
not everybody can do it. Also, not everybody has that
more
body type.
Important than that is that your body is not accustomed to meals at set times of the day on a regimented schedule with the exact right amount of protein, with the exact right amount of the more you can confuse the hell out of your body before you go on Survivor, the more it goes into survival mode, where it slows down your metabolism. And that is way more important, I think, than even putting on weight. Just having it not know what's coming next.
Yeah.
That's what Survivor is.
Yeah, I just think that from like a scientific standpoint, I think that when your body fat goes under a certain number, and I think we've seen this with Romeo, the same thing. And obviously, like Romeo and Jonathan have very different physiques, but I think that like your body like will start to shut down. Like once you tick under, a certain like a single digit number body fat, it's kind of like your body is saying like, okay, that's it.
I guess these are problems I've never had to worry about.
Yeah. Okay, me neither. Okay. So
if you would have cast me when I was 18, I definitely would have joined the Skinny Kid Club. And maybe if Zach would have played, when he was how old is Zach now? He's young.
Is he 21, 22?
Right. So if he would have waited until he was 25 like I did, not because I wanted to wait, but because they didn't cast me until I was 25. Then maybe he would have had a little more meat on his bones. And I do think that made a big difference. I think he probably got voted out in large part because they were worried about challenge stuff, right? So, that's just out of your control.
Adam, here's an interesting question from Michael Butler O'Rear Jr. Michael says, I'm a fire token apologist. I also like the shot in the dark. Is there any way that we could combine these two twists? If so, how?
I love fire tokens. I actually think it's a great new addition to the game. And I love that Jeff's takeaway from his conversation with Mike White of like, is it fun? Is that fire tokens have to go and not, and we're going to add do or die in the hourglass. That's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fun. To make it clear. But fire tokens, I think.
Well, I think that for Jeff, I think that we've learned that the definition of fun for Jeff is random.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with that. No, I agree with you, but disagree with Jeff.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do think that fire tokens were a whiff on season 40 because in the game, they were useless. No one did anything with the fire tokens except buy things from the edge, but the price determined on the edge was just going to be however many fire tokens you had. So it didn't actually matter if you had more, because then they would have just charged you more. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it was a bit of a whiff on 40, but I like the basic idea of it, which is the currency in the game and that you can use that to your advantage. But I think there needs to be more awareness of what these things can do.
Yeah.
Part of the problem in 40 is that you're not really bartering or trading with them because you don't know how valuable they are. You're not spending them because you don't know if they're going to be more valuable later. You don't know what they can do. When you don't know what the game that you're playing is, it restricts gameplay.
Yeah.
When you know the game, you can start coming up with unique ideas, right? And so to answer the question, can we combine? And I do like Shot in the Dark as well because it incentivizes people to do more blindsides, which is fun. That's actually fun. So how do we combine fire tokens and the Shot in the Dark? Well, the simple thought is the more fire tokens you spend, the more bad
Shots.
ones they can get rid of.
Or you could take multiple.
Or take multiple shots.
Yeah. Oh, I like this. Can I give you, I don't know if I've ever told you this. My pitch for the fire tokens is that, like, I just think that the fire tokens should be like garnets from the Genius and basically like assign like a certain, like a set, like monetary value. Okay. This is each fire token is worth $50,000. You get to the end of the game with the fire tokens. You bank that and then you win an additional prize money.
Yeah.
And basically you want to play a Shot in the Dark, put one fire token. Like would you potentially, like, I can't, like, this is worth nothing if I lose, but you need at least one.
I mean, I think that has potential. It definitely is a big wrinkle in the game because now people are playing for more than just the title of Sole Survivor. There's elements of that I don't like. Like if you're a broke, single parent or whatever, maybe you have to play a little more tight than someone who's a millionaire who doesn't care about the value of the fire tokens.
You think so? Even if you think it was like $1.1 million versus $1 million. Like if you get voted out with your thing, that's it. It's only the person who wins the game who has them.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, I thought it was like a currency in addition to the prize, where maybe you can trade, you give your fire token in exchange for them voting with you that time or whatever, or the extra vote or whatever. So now you can put a price on some of these things, but you actually get that money.
Yeah.
If you're saying only the winner gets it, I mean, there's still an element of people who don't care as much about the money are going to be willing to give up those things more, will probably do better in the game as a result of it. Think about like Yao-Man and Dreams. Yao-Man didn't need the car. I mean, it didn't work out for him, but he was able to get, in theory, he was going to be able to get something in the game out of Dreams because Dreams needed the car way more than he did.
But isn't that interesting? Of if Yao Man would give his fire token to Dreams because Dreams feels like, hey, now if I win the game, I'll get another, $50,000.
Definitely interesting, but potentially a sort of problematic wrinkle because I think it advantages wealthy people in terms of their ability to actually win the game. Because if you don't care about the monetary value at all, and that doesn't mean a lot to you, you can do more with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that, but I still feel like, and maybe it's different if we say like, okay, if you get to the final 3, you get to cash out your fire tokens. But
what about like a fire bracelet? And each bracelet is worth let's say $10,000. But instead of 18 people, you put 100 people.
Oh, interesting.
And everyone gets one of these fire bracelets, and when you get eliminated, you have to give your fire bracelet, just like
bequeath it. Yeah,
you bequeath your fire bracelet to somebody in the game.
But how would they find all the people?
Bucks.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, think about that on an island with $1 million.
But is there? I don't even know how would you find 100 people to do that?
Well, I mean, you'd probably just go to Adam Klein's casting business. And say, well, there's got to be a lot of great people in there. We should get a bunch of them on our show called Survivor, where we feature these fire bracelets with 100 people.
That's something to think about.
It's just an idea. I don't know.
Okay. All right. How about this is a question from Van wants to know, is there was a scene in the episode where Mike said that he would play his idol on Marianne if he got through this round. Is there any chance Marianne is able to get Mike to play the idol on her only for her to vote him out? Okay. Mike was talking maybe a little bit out of his butt with his all the things he was going to do with his idol.
Yeah. I mean, highly unlikely. Mm-hmm. But if that happened, holy
shnikes. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to imagine the scenario where that would have to happen because unless Mike was only knew she was going to be completely safe. Do you think that he would do because he would have to be in on a plan if the votes were against her? It seems crazy that he would use his idol, but maybe if she was completely safe, knowing that, okay, the votes are going to be on Romeo, that would it make sense for Mike to walk up there and say, hey, I'm playing this idol for Marianne tonight? Now, knowing that Marianne would be happy, but in front of the jury, it looks like, a swing and a miss from Mike.
Yeah, no, probably not. Probably, I don't see a real reason to do that. Especially, I don't know. I mean, I would have said the same thing about playing an idol on Brett at the Final 5 in Millennials vs. Gen X. What would be the point? Because I was so sure that we were voting for Dave, but I mean, I guess it would have gotten Dave out. So I guess,
yeah. I think he probably
it's hard to not play the idol on yourself at the Final 5. It's really
I think if anything, he would say if you needed it, I would play it on you. You're not going to need it tonight. Trust me, we got you. You'll see. I think that he'll probably just go through that whole speech about if you were in danger, I would use it on you, but I'm not going to because we don't need
to. Wild tribal council if he did play it on.
Yeah. I mean, then you don't think that then if Mike gives her so many assurances that he doesn't need to use the idol on her, you don't think that there's any chance that she could get blindsided and not play her own idol, right?
If he didn't play the idol on her, then she would just play hers.
Yeah, but then she would sort of be exposed as but I guess that she's pulling all the tricks out of her hat, the classic case of the bunny rabbit in the mailbox. Yeah.
When there's no vote at the Final 4, because that's fun to not have votes on Survivor. Who cares?
Yeah. Have you warmed up to the fire making
No.
at any point? I remember vividly that it was the Survivor Game Changers finale. And I'm sorry, Heroes versus Healers versus Hustlers. And it was the day of the finale, and you came to my house that day that you were so I hate to use the term fired up, but I mean, if the shoe fits. And you were so passionate about that this was a bad twist that you came over and podcast live with myself and Josh Wiggler.
Yeah, no, I was right then. I was right then, and I'm still right, and it's bad.
I am surprised though that how much mileage we have gotten out of the, okay, then this person should take this person and put this person into the fire. And why wouldn't they do that? Like, I really feel like that.
I disagree. I don't think it's been that dramatic. Whether you put yourself in fire or somebody else in fire or whatever, what was it? The vote that I just watched. I think it was the last season of Australian Survivor. Who was there?
I don't know. Don't spoil it for people in case. Yeah.
Okay. But there are so many interesting.
Yeah, you had tweeted about this. Great Final Fours. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess they had a final two. They have a final two as well. So that makes it different. But
I heard they had a final three this last time out.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever. The final four is such an interesting vote.
It
really is. And there are times when someone who is the biggest threat is able to convince the other people that they are not. And those moments are so impressive. I mean, think about the Wu, Cass, Tony final three. We still talk about it to this day, that Tony was able to get Wu to bring him.
You don't need to convince me. I still say get rid of it. I just I have to say that I feel like that they've gotten good television out of it. I much prefer have a vote, but I feel like even last season that they got good television out of Deshaun versus Heather and Tony versus Sarah that you watched in person. So Chris and Rick Devin. So they have managed to mine some good TV moments out of it.
Okay. Yeah. I still don't like it.
Yeah, I don't prefer it. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there are in terms of there being any redemptive value to it, there's, I guess, more redemptive value to that than.
Give me the list. What are the things that are worse than the Final Four fire making?
Hourglass twist is the top of the list.
Yeah.
Because when somebody has let me ask you, Rob, would you like to be immune or would you like to not be immune?
I'd like to be immune.
Okay. Big surprise. What? There's no way. It's always going to be somebody picking immunity over not immunity, and the rest of it is then automatically going to happen, which means the losers of the challenge will become the winners, and the winners will become the losers.
Up is down. Down is up.
Why do we play if up is down and down is up? What is the point? What?
Okay. All right, that's number one. What else is worse than the Final Four fire making?
Do or die. Do or die is worse because where do I start? Like, we're just gonna randomly pick who goes home?
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason it's not worse than the what do we call it?
Hourglass.
Yeah. Is because they got the choice of whether or not to play. Yeah. And just don't play. I mean, it's just what else? Do you need immunity for? Why do you need immunity if the person who loses do or die gets eliminated? You don't need the immunity is worthless now. So congratulations, Jonathan, you're immune, but it doesn't matter because most of the time you don't even get to use your immunity.
Okay, what else is worse than the Final Four fire making?
It's close between the idle nullifier. I really don't like fire making. I think fire making is maybe worse than everything.
What
And now
about
I'm
the
doing
edge
that
of extinction?
because- the edge of extinction. Okay, the edge of extinction has potential.
Oh,
So I'm going to put it at the bottom of the worst list. If
Bottom of
it
the
were
worst.
changed, it has to be changed. It can only exist before the merge
I agree.
because, first of all, the first person voted out should not be on the jury. I'm sorry, but they shouldn't. They don't know enough about what's happened in the game. It's ridiculous to think that they do. They may be voting amongst people that they have never met. Not okay. You should have to have met everybody in order to be on the jury. Okay, so that's one. That's the first reason why it has to only happen before the merge. Two, when somebody comes back into the game, everybody that doesn't win is out, not on the jury, gone for good. Okay? And because when somebody comes in at the final 6, they are going to have and they are living with the jury. No one should ever be eliminated and live with the jury and come back in. That is the number 2 biggest problem with Edge of Extinction as it exists right now.
I didn't even know we were keeping a list of the problems with the edge of extinction in this list of
one.
okay.
One was the first person voted out shouldn't be on.
Okay.
And 2 is you shouldn't live with the jury if you're ever going to go back in the game, because you know exactly what the jury thinks.
Yeah.
And that is the game. That is Survivor, is figuring out who's the jury going to vote for, who are they not going to vote for.
I think we can kind of combine subset 1 and 2 into just like the edge of extinction ends at the merge. Then that way, and everybody else goes home.
I actually might kind of like it then.
Oh.
Because maybe even would like it. Because now it's devastating to be the first person voted out.
Yeah.
You get to play, you get a shot, you get to stay in the game longer than 3 days, you get a little bit more of a full experience. And, there's some drama to like who's going to come back and can they come back. And there's still a lot of game to play, and they're still going to participate in a lot of votes. They can't just sit on the edge the whole time and come back and survive 2 votes because of an idol and immunity and win the game.
Yeah, especially 12-day season. What are you going to go to the edge for, 6 days, and then you come back in and get a chance to play? It's fine.
But I think before the merge, I think it would be.
It's fine.
I think it would be totally fine.
Dude, so it's fine.
There we can use, and fire tokens can stay. Edge of extinction, pre-merge, fine. So I'm not like a total hater on all new things.
Knowledge is power.
No.
Knowledge is power is worse than fire.
Yeah, they're all. Oh, I forgot about knowledge is power. No, fire is worse than all of them, but they're all also worse than fire. Knowledge is power is just so, especially in a season where who has the idols because of the bunny rabbit stuff, Yeah. Oh my God. I would say it's too easy to play, but now it's twice in a row where it's backfired.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have been
good
very
TV.
fortunate to get good TV out of that.
Yeah.
But the way it's designed, it seems too easy to use. I guess I got to eat my shorts because twice now it hasn't been used in a way that works.
Okay.
But so let's talk. Should we talk something positive? Because I do love Survivor, and I think there have been a lot of positive changes. I think they're doing an incredible job casting. I think they're doing an incredible job editing. And I know people like to blame the editors a lot, but I think they're doing a really good job.
For what are they blaming editors for?
These people didn't get enough confessionals. I
hear that also, but I also am a firm believer of that like the editors don't leave gold on the cutting room floor. Like that you can't ever convince me.
Context on the cutting room floor, and sometimes I think the context would be beneficial, but they're also constricted by, like, think about season 40. I think that season 40 there were issues with editing. I've heard the comments about that.
And the storytelling, I do agree with that.
But the reason why is not the editor's fault. It has nothing to do with the editors. They did as much as they could with the time that they had. But ideally, we would have had 1.5 hour episodes for season 40. We had 22 players on season 40. When you think about how 2 people came back into the game, 22 players, and the season was the exact same size. The length of the season. So the amount of time that you have per person is lower. And now you also are keeping all 20. Now it's 20 versus 22.
Right.
But it makes sense. Now 20 people are all on the show. Takes away even more time. And you have new advantages every single episode almost. Takes away even more time. So, yeah, you're not going to be able to have a whole ton of time left to really tell people's stories and show all of the interactions. The game needs to change so that the amount of time in the episodes needs to increase so that the editors can do the job that they do really, really well as they would like. That's what I think.
Makes sense. Yeah. All right, Adam, how about a question for you? Jordan Chong says, are there any inanimate Survivor 42 objects that you would be suspicious of being immunity idols? Opposed to animate objects.
I'm looking at
are you surprised? I really thought that in this cycle, in this year of Survivor, that they would have put something at Tribal Council.
Too soon.
It's too soon.
Too soon. It's too fresh in people's minds, right? Everybody probably on 41 and 42 was on alert for that. Don't you think?
Yeah, but I think they
would. A little.
I feel like it's a missed opportunity. They haven't done anything at Tribal Council. I wonder if maybe in season 43 or 44, what we might see is that instead of at the immunity challenge, I wonder if somebody might have to do some wild thing at Tribal Council to activate the idol.
It's a good idea. It's a good guess. I think.
Also, Adam, we have not seen one live Tribal Council in this season. I do not believe anybody has gotten up out of their seat at Tribal Council. Do you think that has just been a coincidence, or do you think that there is by design?
Not by design, but not by coincidence either. I think it's probably just these players. I mean, I remember sitting at the first Tribal Council of Winners at War, and everybody started getting up to chat with each other and scramble. And Denise and I were the only 2 that stayed in our seats. Didn't move. And to me, that was the better choice because I wanted to signal to the people that I had made an agreement with that I trusted them. And that even though it was my name on the chopping block, that I knew that they were with me. And I think that there is some advantage to that when you make a plan, that you show your alliance that they have nothing to worry about. I remember saying something like this in Millennials versus Gen X. Jeff Probst called me a cock block as a result of this interaction.
Okay, go on.
He was going down the line. This was the episode where Chris went home, and it was Chris thinking that he's blindsiding Jessica and Co thinking that we're blindsiding Chris, right? And he starts asking people, how confident are you that it's going to go your way tonight? First person says 100%. Goes to the next person, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%. I'm like the third to last person, something like that. He gets to me and I say, well, Jeff, and he says, God damn it, Adam, like, you cock block. Like, Uh, and because to me, I wasn't just gonna say. I was like, it's in everybody's best interest to say 100% because even if we don't believe that, because everyone wants to signal that we trust the people that we're voting with.
Yeah.
And he just said, he was like, it would have been, I knew he could see the television moment happening in front of him where everybody says 100%. And then he goes, wow, every single one of you are 100% sure, whatever.
Except for that blocker, Klein.
And that's why I almost probably got cut out of season 4. Block. I mean, I get what he was going for, but I was kind of pissed at the time because I was like, you didn't cast me to be the guy that's just going to say the thing that everybody else is saying. Yeah. You cast me because I have unique analysis that's like different than everybody else. So like, isn't that what you want? But now I get it. It was going to be a moment like, everybody says 100%, whatever. It didn't make sense. I ruined it.
Right.
Yeah, the point is that I think there's some benefit to showing your alliance that you trust them. And maybe this group thinks the same way as me. Maybe it's that. I don't know. It's interesting, isn't it? All it takes is one person to start whispering for everybody to get up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that nobody's done that.
We talked about your diet earlier in this podcast. Easy decision for you, chicken and vegetables versus cake and cookies?
Not when it changes the number of people you can bring.
Yeah.
That definitely makes it a lot more complicated. Hey, let's talk about things we like. That was nice. Give them options, right? Have them like play, let them strategize around these different options. I like that. Yeah, not that anybody who works for Survivor cares what I think anyway. So
I think some people care.
Who cares?
I mean, you want me to name names?
Sure.
It's too many to list.
You think there are producers that like listen like to this?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know about 2.5 hours in, but I used to, like, when I used to go to parties and stuff, I'd like talk to people that say like, oh, we listened to the show.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
But that was a while ago.
Okay, but I think
now there's a lot of podcasts.
Right, and I think that also you think they've now are listening to other podcasts and not yours.
I don't know.
I do think that those people would probably already agree with me, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't you think?
Well, I would that give players more options.
Yeah, but before that, the reward,
chicken and or cake.
Chicken. But how lame are these rewards?
They got to make it hard. They got to make it hard. 26-day seasons.
Okay, I agree with making it hard. I like making it hard, but I think when you make it really hard and you make the rewards even better, the stakes get raised.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you are starving these people, and then instead of one chocolate cake, they walk up and it's like Australian Survivor, where they walk into Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and they are surrounded by thousands of pieces of candy and 100 different cakes, maybe each one with a bracelet worth $10,000, right? And there's all these then it's like so much bigger, the impact of these rewards.
You're not producing $1 Million Island, are you?
No, I just want people to apply and hire me to help them.
Okay.
It's very self-interested. No, I have no relation to that. I just think it's a good opportunity for people that dream about this kind of experience. That's something I would have applied for sure if I were still applying to Survivor and couldn't get on.
Okay, this is a question from Alex Richards. Do you think that Drea's words after being voted out put a much bigger target on Omer going into this vote?
Before you ask that question, do you agree that if you deprive them, that cooler rewards makes it better?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, might get people like I think they're sort of like they're giving it their all anyway. But I just like for the people at home, like it might be really hard for them. But then when the reward like looks super lame to us at home,
Yeah,
it's like not that cool.
I want to see them take a fat dip of that chocolate cake. Like just
like woo, yeah.
Just like reach in and just like smother it all over their face. That's fun. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. The rewards should be enticing to the people that are watching the show also.
Take them somewhere.
Like you'll get crackers.
I feel like season 33 was like the last time where they put a lot of effort into these rewards. They dragged a whole floating restaurant across the sea to in front of our camp. And we got to eat pizza on it and drink beer and jump off the thing. And we could hear and see them from the camp. Not just like sit on the beach next to everybody and get like a thing of Chinese takeout. Like, come on season 40, that's the prize. Come on, take them on a yacht.
And then Sarah Lucina's like, yeah, I don't even want this.
Yeah. Come on.
Nick can have it. It's his birthday.
Where's the yacht? With Rupert and Jenna Lewis.
Yeah.
Those were the days.
Yeah, please don't trigger me and talk about the Shapiro tribe going on rewards, okay? Partying after they got rid of me.
I interrupted this next question. So
yes, okay. Yeah, Alex wanted to know, do you think that Drea's words after being voted out last week put a much bigger target on Omer going into this vote?
We kind of talked about that a little bit already, and I asked you what you thought about that. I think it must have made an impact a little bit. I don't know.
Does it bother you when survivors talk so much after being voted out? Would you like to see like a survivor try to like lock that down a little bit more?
Yeah, I saw like Rick Devens tweeting about that. He was like, they should not be allowed to do that. Look, if you have it in when you get voted out, it's devastating, right? And most people come up with a lot of things that they want to say many minutes, hours, days, years later after that. If you have the strength of mind to be able to say, this is how I want to impact the game in my last 60 seconds, while I've just been blindsided, I think it's fine.
Yeah. I guess what we don't want it to happen is like for it to turn into the Oscars or somebody gets out like, oh, okay. Oh, real quick. All right. Before I get out of here, I want to thank my mom, like a big brother, do their shout outs.
Within reason. Right. Within reason. But I think what Dre did was fine.
Yeah. I mean, it was amazing moment on the show.
Totally amazing moment. I love the way that she and Hai, both of them, went out with such like good humors and grace. She didn't go over the top, right? She gave little crumbs that people can take how they want. It's come on. I mean, we let people go back in the game after they've lived on the edge of extinction for 20 days with people knowing exactly the hierarchy of who they're going to vote for with all of their ideas of what they would do if they get back in the game. Come on. If we let that happen, then people can say a couple words on their way out the door.
Okay. Adam, is there anything else that you have that you want to make sure we talk about here for Survivor 42 or beyond?
I mean, I really would like you have a lot of podcasters, you have a lot of time on the podcast. I would like you to get to the bottom of, if you spin in the other direction,
okay,
does it counteract the spinning that you experienced in the initial direction? And are you less dizzy as a result?
Makes sense.
Okay. So if you could get to the bottom,
we can work on that. Yeah.
Then I think that's sort of why I came on the podcast today in the first place. Yeah.
Okay.
I will just say that this season has been wonderful. And I can't wait to see how I'm wrong next.
Well, look, I think that being wrong talking about Survivor is
part of the job.
Should be normalized. Because that if we were right all the time, why would anybody listen to any of these podcasts? It would just be called the spoiler show of like we're never wrong.
Right. If you knew everything,
right,
what would you call it? Like would you know it all, or like
reality Rob? I don't know.
Yeah, like Rob Knows It All podcast. That would be
yeah. So that would be no fun.
Yeah.
There's a question for you. Whistler wanted to know. Marianne has kind of an Adam edit. Do you agree with that?
No. Or at least I don't think so. Let me think about it. Yeah, maybe.
I think there's some. If I was going to say, like, what are the similarities between?
Okay, the similarities are they showed people saying, "Oh, she's too much," like she's annoying or whatever. They showed people saying about me, "He's an asshole," because that tracks.
Yes, who said that?
A lot of things I get called, but
so somebody said you were an a-hole.
It was about a conversation that nobody that was discussing it was present for. This still kind of, this one still kind of I'm butthurt about. The conversation was a conversation.
Not in the a-hole, right? Yeah.
And and you know how direct and straightforward I am, and I think that's a lot of people know that about me by this point. Jay says, "So like, am I on the bottom now?" And I'm thinking, you and I were both at the trap last night when Taylor went home. Yeah, like what? Of course you are. Like, what am I supposed to lie to you? Like, duh. So, and that's that sort of attitude that I was like, yeah, with. And then Jay goes to Hannah and Zeke or whatever, and he's like, Adam's being mean to me, like, which is gameplay on Jay's part and fair enough, right? He's trying to cause chaos and turn people against each other, whatever. So I don't blame him for saying that at all. But now there's a confessional with Zeke where he's like, Adam is going and being a total asshole to to Jay. And I'm like, you weren't even there.
Yeah.
You weren't even there. Like,
okay.
I just agreed with him that he was on the bottom. I'm like, okay.
I mean, if the shoe fits, come on, let's be real.
I'm a jerk.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was,
Yeah, I could see that. But I think that I do think you have a bit of an underdog story. Both of you. You both have a tremendous love for the game. Both have an amazing optimistic spirit about the both of you.
And I think one of the things that I felt like was important to my game was an awareness of who I beat and don't beat at the end. And I think she has been accurately reading that they feel like she is a GOAT, right? I felt that. And so, yeah, now I'm starting to see it more and more because I felt like in Millennials vs. Gen X coming around the merge time that they saw me as a GOAT that they would like to bring to the end. I saw somebody like Chris and he was like, talking to me like we're going to go all the way to the end together, and I knew he meant it or would like that to happen because I knew he felt like he would beat me at the end, right? And so I definitely felt like these people think that they can all beat me. I need to change that perception. And I totally see this is a big similarity. I think that she fully acknowledged her position in the tribe, that they see her as maybe somebody that they can bring to the end, and is like, I need to change that perception. And she now has changed that perception. I was able to change that perception, but the people in the game remained convinced that I had not changed that perception. And it'll be interesting to see if, and it may be the same case with her, that maybe even though she has changed it, they might not realize in the game or have enough time to do anything about it. So yeah, thinking about all of that together, it tracks, I think. And you know, I'm nowhere near the brilliance of personality and spirit that Marianne does. So I will accept it as an honor if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Do
All
that.
right, Adam. Anything else coming up for you outside of Survivor?
Well, I mean, my stuff now is related
My
to
stuff.
Survivor. You know,
Yes.
at least my you know this business that I've started that I really am enjoying. I really love helping people with their audition videos, and it's starting to be Survivor season. Survivor is going to start casting again around August, and now is a great time to start working on your audition video. And I have a special, can I pitch my promo?
Please.
That's running until the end of May. It's the early bird Survivor special. So it includes.
Is that for Omer that you've included birds?
Yes. Yes. It is a great shirt. A great
Yes.
Survivor shirt. I always had such plain, boring.
The early emu.
Yeah. So if you go to my website, adam.com/casting, you'll see I have a special discounted promotion that it includes, in addition to the normal premium package, includes also a brainstorm session, which is good for people who have never made a video before or don't know where to start. We meet before you ever make your first audition video, and then meet to go over and make edits and changes and that sort of thing.
Okay. Give that website one more time.
AdamKlein.com, just my name, /casting.
Okay, AdamKlein.com/casting. All right.
And then email me as well, that you can reach out via the bookings tab on my site. If you have any questions about the services that I offer or whatever, you can email me through there as well.
Okay. Anything else fun going on in Adam Klein world?
I just had an incredible couple vacations with my girlfriend. We went to Spain in March. And we went to Mexico for a week with her brother and her dad a few weeks ago. Had a blast, and I am so in love with my girlfriend.
Oh,
and I'm a happy guy, you know, and we live a simple life, and it's wonderful. Yeah.
All right. Wow. What a storybook life for Adam Klein.
We met on my mom's birthday. That and then when I asked her to be my girlfriend a year later, and when I did, we were like at the LA Zoo, and this is why I say I have these there's these symbols and signs and things that happen in my life, and I'm not even that spiritual of a person. But when I asked her to be my girlfriend, the zoo, it was in a dark pond. It was at night, and the pond lit up, colorful lights going all over the place. Fountain came on, started spraying water all over the place. Music came on.
Wow.
You know, like the Venetian or the Bellagio in Las Vegas.
Yes.
Fountain show. There was a freaking fountain show immediately after. There was no one else there. It was just for us. And it felt like it was like my mom telling me that I was on the right path and that she was happy for me. And so I just feel like she has blessed me and my life and our relationship. And I know I talk about my mom a lot, at least publicly, not as much privately because the opportunity just doesn't come up that often. But
I get that.
She's such an important part of everything that has to do with Survivor. And now I feel like my relationship, and as I go through life, I think about what my mom would say about the things that I'm doing or accomplishing. And it still, fuels me, and it always will. So I don't know why I just brought that up, but it's obviously an important thing to me. So,
no doubt. And thank you for sharing that with us always. And just so happy to hear that things are going well. I think you're just one of the greatest guys. And I always appreciate you making time to come and talk shop here on the podcast.
I will anytime. I think the world of you, and I think this community is just so incredible. I've been listening to Rob as a podcast for a lot longer than I've ever been on Survivor. So I feel always still honored every time you ask me to come join. And I thought I wasn't going to this season, and I felt very honored to be asked. So thank you.
Yes. Okay. And Million Dollar Island will have the podcast appearance coming in 2023.
I'm game. I hope it's good. I have no idea. I hope it's going to be.
I hope so too.
I think at the very least, even if the show isn't good, I
can't have all my Jonathan eggs in one basket, if you know what I mean.
No.
I need some more shows.
Oh, yeah. What does that have to do with Jonathan?
He ate all the eggs.
He did?
Yeah. Remember Jonathan? He eats 18 eggs.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot of eggs.
Yeah.
That's a lot of eggs.
Not like you forgets to eat lunch. Yeah.
Do you think he has them in a basket?
Probably in a carton.
Probably in the fridge.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they're like free range. It's like a farm or something. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe he grows his
I bet he goes to Costco.
He probably just goes to Costco.
Yeah.
Buys them,
but he probably has to go like twice a week.
If I were eating that many eggs, I would certainly. I still go to Costco and I don't even eat that much. I love a good deal.
It's probably the second fridge.
Doesn't care. I don't care how many millions I ever win on Survivor. I'm always going to enjoy shopping at Costco. Well, let me take that back. I don't enjoy shopping, but if I have to shop, Costco.
You need millions to keep shopping at Costco.
You do?
I mean, yeah. I feel like you don't go in there without spending
Yeah, but you can't think about it like that. Yeah, you might spend $500, but that's going to last you for forever.
Yeah.
Unless you're the type of person that if you
not at this house,
consume more. If you buy more, you consume more, and you're that type of person.
Not if you go with the first lady of podcasting.
Oh, just buy unnecessary. I mean, eventually you're going to consume.
Yeah. Who doesn't really understand the concept of a bulk store of like, we'll need like one of something. And she was like, oh, they have it here. It's like, yeah, but we don't need 72 of them.
I understand that her side though, because anytime I look at something where there's two options, I'm not looking at the price. I'm looking at the price per ounce or the price per whatever, because that's how you know how you're getting the better deal.
All right.
Bulk is great.
Adam Klein, the listeners got a great deal here today to hear you break down everything heading into the big finale. Of course, plenty more Survivor coverage coming over on robhasawebsite.com. Of course, everything in our Survivor podcast feed, Mike Bloom on the Feedback Show, and then Mari Forth on the Survivor Academy this season that we're doing for the patrons, where we are working with our future Survivor players in our patron podcast feed, Adam, of what can we learn each week about Survivor. So you get them on the show, and then we're working on trying to help them for when they're out there.
What is it? Say that again.
We do a show that's for the patrons that's called Survivor Academy, where each week we look at the episode and take a look at what can we learn from this week's Survivor episode to help future Survivor players.
Amulets don't go back in play.
Okay, that's the big takeaway. We'll talk about that. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We always appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to Rob's podcast, robswebsite.com/subscribe. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.